an OHA beneficiary, as well as for beneficiary advocacy and empowerment, as well as a Nanakuli Hawaiian Homestead lessee. Today's agenda, I'm giving my data views and arguments regarding today's agenda items on grants and Mauna Kea. The OHA statutory mandates and mission are implemented through a strategic plan 2010 to 2018. The beneficiaries of the public trust are the Native Hawaiian people. The strategic priorities for improving the conditions of Native Hawaiians are in the areas of the Aina, culture, economic self-sufficiency, education, and health. Yesterday, I entered the joint committee meeting where the grant recommendations of the staff were being deliberated and thereafter taken to vote. I attended the grant meetings for the biennial budget since the very first grant workshop this year. I heard at the first meeting trustees question administration if the grant recipient recommendation list was shared with the recipients prior to the trustees voting on and ratifying the recommendations. Trustees didn't want to feel pressured by the recipients. Yet, I walked into the grant meeting yesterday where administration grant recipients recommendation list was in action form. I looked on the sign-in sheet as I'm signing in and I see that ex-trustee Stender and members of his group are the only guests besides myself in the meeting. Then I realized that they were there to give testimonies and present their faces and the worthiness of their grant requests. Only one group, only one nonprofit organization was in the room. Yet hundreds of worthy nonprofit organizations applied for grants with OHA. Administration and the grant department should have told all grant requesters about yesterday's meeting, whether they were on the list or not. I guess they all thought, apply and allow. Apply and allow. Apply and allow administration and the trustees to review their qualifications and worthiness. In other words, let their applications speak for themselves. Mauna Kea, the scarf I'm wearing had these red flowers on them. I wore it today because I thought it was the closest thing that resembles the lehua blossoms. As we all know, the lehua blossoms have been affected by a disease. After years of thriving in the forest on the Big Island, somehow and some way, a disease was introduced to the forest, and now this beautiful blossom and plant is being threatened into extinction. When I flew to Hilo recently, last month, I was introduced to reading material about how I should be careful about inadvertently carrying this disease out of the forest into my hometown on Oahu, Nanakuli. It talked about burning things after being exposed to the lehua trees with this disease. Recently, I was told a man-made park was being proposed for Mauna Kea. A man-made park? Similar to man-introduced diseases? We don't need a man-made park on a mountain. Mauna Kea is pristine and beautiful as is. God-made, not man-made. If Mayor Kim's proposal is to introduce another man-made object on Mauna Kea, please deny the proposal. Ehana kako.
Thank you, Jermaine.
Mahalo.
Our next presenter is Malia Martin, followed by Kaho'okahi Kanuha. Malia, are you here?
Aloha, trustees.
Aloha, Malia.
I'm here by myself. My name is Malia. Family and I are recipients of some of the very, very helpful OHA programs relating to health and things that affect our people. Um, I know there'll be a lot of other testimony about other aspects, but I'm coming on behalf of myself and others who can't be here today, who are looking towards the future and uh, see exploration on Mauna Kea as an extension of who we are as a Hawaiian people. I've been in the tour industry, our second largest industry in the islands after the military, for over 15 years. And I've seen how visitors behave when they come here. And I've seen over the years, for example, near Hanauma Bay, which was a beautiful park, a beautiful nature reserve, and then without regulation and without instructions to visitors about how to take care of it, how it was destroyed. But when it became a reserve that was taken care of, then people appreciated it more. It was regulated more. Tourists have to pay to visit, local people don't. On Haleakala, they have commercial free days where people can practice cultural activities without tourists there. But with nothing on Mauna Kea, it will be left and people won't stop coming. Mauna Kea has been on the map for a while now, and visitors are going to come. And if nobody is at the visitor center to tell them what to do, they're going to do whatever they want, like they do at Coco Head, at Sacred Falls, and other important places in Hawaii. So we can all agree, whether you agree with astronomy or telescopes or Hawaiian culture, and all of these things can go together. Everyone can agree that the Office of Mauna Kea Management and other groups have not taken care of that area enough. We might need a place so that people can learn about our culture and regulate it. And this park from Mayor Henry Kim is the closest thing that anyone's proposed so far that would be positive in that aspect and can be open to changing and helping people to understand our culture, to be regulating the special use of it for cultural practitioners, for scientists, and hopefully more scientists, more people who care about Malama Honua will come to Hawaii and help us to better take care of Mauna Kea, of Kaho'olawe, if we open our industries to STEM science, sustainable industries, and things aside from just tourism and the military. So allowing this park with community input would be very important. So I hope you take this into consideration. And one more thing, if there were no telescopes up there, there would be no restriction on light pollution on the Big Island, and you'd have Honolulu city lights up and down the Big Island coastlines. So if you want that, then you can get rid of the telescopes. And then we'll be just like Waikiki on the Big Island in Kona. But think about how we can really protect our land and how we can really protect our resources. The main resource at Mauna Kea isn't water that can be used up. It isn't land, it's the height. We have the highest point in the Pacific Ocean. And if we own it, then we can dictate who uses it. We can share the height without depleting it as a resource. And a park would be a good idea for that. Mahalo.
Thank you, Malia.
Mahalo.
The next speaker is Kaho'okahi Kanuha, followed by Kaukaoha, no, not Oha, Kaohu. She never come long time, I apologize. Kaukaohu Wailani. Welcome again, long time no see.
Not long enough.
Aloha mai.
Ai mai ia o nui ko mamake ku e kera mana o ka e ai mai ia o e haawi ko mana o mahope o Kim maka community concerns.
Yeah, akai hele no ka camera. Yeah, hiki.
No le ho'o pana e ia.
Yeah.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Then he's got to come on the community concerns.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay, so I'll put him in another list. Okay, Kaukaohu.
O kakaiaka o hana.
Aloha mai.
E oko.
Maikai.
Maikai. Hauoli. Kaumaha. Kuiwa. Ha'alulu.
All of those.
O kaukoho kalani wahilani no puea mai au. E ku'u na makua. Makua kane. Bela ahilani wahilani. Me ku'u. Makua hine. Hikake wahilani. Morning, everybody. I'm Kakoho Kalani Wahilani from Pu'ea, that's Waianae Valley, Kingdom of the Hawaiian Kingdom. I'm here for community concerns to speak on. I actually want to speak after Mayor Kim.
You can do that.
Yeah? Okay, I'll do
Welcome
that.
back.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Kaoho. Okay. The next one is Andre Perez. Okay, I'll put him on.
Mr.
Is
Chair,
this Akiona Bimo Akiona? Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
may I just ask a clarification question? Community concerns on our agenda is located after our
Right.
executive session,
That's
which is
true.
far later. I just want to know that the beneficiaries understand that it'll be way at the end, not immediately after Harry Kim speaks.
Okay, that's fine. The executive session should be quicker than usual. It's just an update.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Akiona gonna wait. Andre not here yet. Melilani Lanes. La Lanes. Gonna wait too. You like to take the La Lanes. Lanes. Would you correct me if I'm incorrect? Thank you.
Aloha kako, trusted, dedicated trustees. Um, my
Aloha.
name my name is Malalani Yanis, and I live in Makakilo. I'm here today to express my concerns about the future of Mauna Kea. I believe to the core of my na'au that Mauna Kea is one of the most sacred places on earth. It sickens me to see how she has been desecrated time and time again in the name of science, and I am a scientist. While I believe Polynesians are natural astronomers, Hokulea proved that point with his last worldwide voyage. That quest for knowledge was never at the expense of the sanctity of our island Earth. There are two areas of concern I wish to express: the Mauna Kea World Park and the issue of Mauna Kea lease being transferred to OHA. While I believe in Hawaii as a beacon of peace, an inclusive place of learning for the world, I am terrified at the thought of Mauna Kea being used for that purpose. Just hearing the words World Park conjure up pictures of crowds with possibly a genuine interest in astronomy, but with a total disregard for the sacredness of Mauna Kea. Our landscape has been littered with a plethora of telescopes already, and I believe this World Park would support the building of the 30-meter telescope, which I vehemently oppose. I'm not aware of how Native Hawaiians living in Kuleana protecting Mauna Kea fit into the picture. Will they be part of this plan and have a strong voice in determining the fate of Mauna Kea? I will listen with an open mind today to Mayor Kim's plan. As for the lease of Mauna Kea being turned over to OHA, I am cautious about that option, only if OHA made a firm commitment to block the 30-meter telescope and any new subsequent telescopes would I feel less cautious. Only after the sacred landscape is restored, which includes removing the pile of telescopes already there, can any decision be undertaken about considering one and maybe only one. And again, only with the blessing of those protecting Mauna Kea. We all know that the true land ownership of Mauna Kea belongs to the nation-state of Hawaii that has been illegally occupied by the United States of America. All these issues need to be taken into account with the proposals you are considering today. Mauna Kea is sacred, and desecrating even one more inch of her is unconscionable. Mahalo for your dedicated service and allowing me to voice my opinion today. Walamako.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Kapua Keli'i Koa Kamai. Followed by Manu Kayama.
Aloha kākou, o au ka puakili kua ka mai. No ka aina ho o pula pula, ka awa wā waianai. Yo,
Aloha mai.
aloha. Thank you for having us here today. I'd like to share with you some pictures of those that may not be in this room, but have the same sentiment as myself, as right now I'm speaking to agenda item 5C, the presentation that Mayor Kim is giving. I also want to reserve that I will speak to that under community concerns afterwards.
Sure.
But I will take this moment to do this presentation at this point in time. This one here, you see this keiki. This is our future. This here, you see our kupuna. This is our, both of them are today, our past and our future. So while the Mauna Kea offers its wonderful benefits of astronomy, Ea Kua put us Kanaka Maoli, us, in this Kopai Aina Hawaii for a reason. Because he knew that we will malama our resources, that we, Aloha Aina, though not saying that we do not want development, that we do not want any progress, any innovation, of course, we are Kanaka. We fully support that. Yet, within reason, we have gone far beyond reason. UH Hawaii has shown no ability to properly manage Mauna Awa Kea. With all of the telescopes, all of the countries, and all of the revenues that have come in, that could have come in, that should be coming in, where's the pala pala? Who sees the fiscal data on that? Who is collecting that? Is it the Kanaka? Or is it this fake state? Or is it the people at UH doing the things that UH chooses to do? We need to stop this. Enough is enough for our past and our present, for our present and our future. The mana'o that you folks, the authority, the power that you have is heavy on our people. We don't want to come here and ku'e. We'd rather kako'o. Let's kako'o progress. But not at the extent of desecration. Not at the extent of breaking the rules that the fake state has already created. Hence, they create subsequent alternative rules. So let's malama your kuleana and do what's right. Ke olu olu. The second thing that I have is, I think it's item 6B, approval of minutes. If I heard right, at the beginning of this halavai, you folks approved the minutes, but item 6B seems to be the same dates. Oh, your own minutes. Oh, mapopo. Mahalo, mahalo for that clarification. I also urge you folks to post your minutes on the website, as I think we're a little bit behind. So even though you may have approved previous ones, if you could just keep us informed on that. And so again, I will address after the mayor is done. And mahalo nui. Aloha.
Mahalo e kapua.
Manu Kayama, followed by Laulani Tio.
Aloha mai.
Aloha.
Aloha mai kako. Thank you so much for having our possibility for us to testify. I think the first thing that comes to mind is, why is public testimony item number 3 when mostly everyone here, and I'm assuming that our trustees know, that why most of us are here fall under item 5C. I don't know, when I checked in, I thought that didn't seem to make any sense to me to have us talking about something that we haven't even heard the presentation from the mayor yet. So it's just a suggestion, maybe. I don't think you did it on purpose, but maybe is every agenda like that? So the powers that be, maybe you could change that and make your public
Let me
testimony
clarify,
after.
Manu.
Ole?
The purpose of this is to actually, why we do the agenda on public testimony, it provides an opportunity to comment on the items that are listed after that. We're going to go into decision making as soon as
Right.
everyone has given consideration to give input on each of those items listed on the public testimony. The community concerns reflects items that are not on the agenda that people would like to address to the board. So we've organized it in a manner so that we're very clear to allow the trustees full and free discussion in our decision making.
It makes sense, but I still have to reiterate the idea that for us as a community to be able to comment on a suggested proposal, we would hope to hear a little bit more details about the proposal before we can comment. But that being said, I of course will respect the agenda as written. And I just wanted to say that number one, of course, none of you make enough money to have this heavy kuleana on your shoulders. And I know that we all agree with that. So the expectation from the community is even larger because we're thinking, boy, you're here kind of part-time, kind of volunteer. So your kuleana means that you need to know these topics, you need to become more familiar with them and educate yourself on your own time. So we really, really do appreciate that. What I really wanted to state and emphasize was that I believe that the proposal by Mayor Kim really serves as a distraction to the more critical issue of the TMT. And I've seen this happen before politically, where, for example, people get together and they want to build maybe a 20 parking stall, parking garage, and they say only 20 stalls, but the public's going to come out and be against it. What do we do? You know what we do? We're going to put it out to the public as a 50 parking stall. Because then when we go kuka kuka and we finally say, you know what? We've heard you. Now what we're going to do is just 20 stalls. So they played one on the public and they played one on us. And we know that those things happen. And I look at this idea, at the midnight hour, right, from left field, this idea of taking some of this land in Mauna Kea as a mere distraction, using up your precious time, your mana, trying to make us think about something else, when really the critical issue is TMT. So I just wanted to ask the board to please consider what your constituents have been coming and saying very vocally. Do not spend any of your mana or your time on this proposal. Respectfully, mahalo for putting it forward, but you don't have the energy or the time to be able to entertain it. Instead, you should be focused on stopping the TMT from being built and then decommissioning all the rest. And then at that time, we will worry about it turning into a Waikiki, as some of our former testifiers are worried about. Right, so mahalo nui loa, have a great day.
Laulani Tio, followed by Candice Fujikani.
Aloha, trustees. Mahalo for this opportunity to speak. I really appreciate it. Mahalo. And I'd also like to mahalo Mayor Kim as well. I do have to say that we need more peace in Hawaii, and that's very, very important. And any intention for greater peace is a good thing. So I'd like to put out that mahalo also. My name is Laulani Teal. A lot of you are familiar with me. I'm the coordinator for Ho'opaepono Peace Project. So I work with peace a lot. I work with families, with land issues, with household issues, with organizational matters. I'm trained in Ho'oponopono. I'm a practitioner of Ho'oponopono, and I work directly with actually setting things right when they have become out of balance. I want to talk about what peace is fundamentally, because I think that is very important in this. And I think there may be some misunderstandings which may be part of this picture. Peace is something that we need to be very, very careful is not confused with a monopoly on violence. And that may seem obvious, but I think that it's a confusion that we deal with every day. The idea that, okay, there's a war, right? Someone invades something like a palace, and then, you monopolize the violence, and then you make peace. Everyone, in other words, the expectation is that everyone just ignores what has happened and moves on in a way of forgetting about it. That's a monopoly on violence. That is not peace. Peace is consensual. That means everyone needs to agree to it. And clearly, in the case of Mauna Kea, there is a very, very strong feeling about the way that that place needs to be properly cared for, protected, and taken care of. And I think that many of the people who are here testifying have said that over and over again. And I will say that I believe that the testimony that you've heard today, that is part of peace. Because it is restoring the balance of consensuality, of agreement. And once you have something where the people agree to it, then you can, and only then, you can have peace. That's true of Ho'oponopono. It's true of mediation. I'm also trained as a mediator, and have worked in that capacity. It's true of, ohana processes of all kinds. You only have peace when the people agree. Then and only then. And what we have here from the Kanaka Maoli that you represent is a very clear picture of what would constitute real peace. And that is protection. Protection and return to Malama. I think that, the people have their own ideas, so I would be very careful about assuming what that management should look like. I think that we need to work with the people, with the Kuleana, because that consensus is super, super important. But real peace can be achieved when that consensus is there. TMT is not part of that consensus. I happen to know that there are many people in this room who will not allow that to happen, period, and to build the TMT would require violence because it would require physically hauling them off again and again and again. And I don't think that telescope would be built because it's not going to happen. There is not consensus. So I ask, please, that this board focus its energy on what the people are requesting, on real peace. Because that is the only way that peace can be built of any kind. Mahalo.
Laulani, you also listed an issue in Wailua, Kauai. So when we get into community concerns, I'll call you back.
Okay, yeah, I hope that I'm going to be able to stay. Mostly I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention, that that is very, very important right now. It's a major struggle that is, right at the heart of where we need real solutions, because that assertion of caretakership of Malama is such an important part of, of restoring the air of the people. So, I did want to put that forward, that is critical right now in Wailua and Wainiha. And so, I'm not sure that I'll be able to stay till the end, but I will.
Thank you.
I will try, and I do ask that that be considered. Mahalo.
Thank you. Candice Fujikani, followed by Clara Pana. Call you back. To Candice. Claire Apana.
So you'll be okay if you sit.
But I can hold this up. I don't have a PowerPoint. I have an actual paper. Good morning.
Aloha.
And aloha from Maui. I am the only one who could come today from our group. Last week when they were in Maui, we had an entire room filled with testifiers, beneficiaries, who all came, and every single person spoke about a pressing issue we have on Maui, then that is the sand mining of our iwi kupuna. Every single person spoke to you. I was moved that the board was moved, and even the chair said that today there would be something for us. There would be some assistance, information. I'm sorry to see that it is not in a format where you can actually vote on assisting us, because we have, in a grassroots effort, exposed an illegal sand mining permit for 213,000 cubic yards of sand, and in an area where there is no mineral extraction allowed. And we have gotten the planning department to issue 2 letters, one a warning and one that gives a fine to this Maui Lani company, Town Realty, for extracting. And just this week, they were in the area that is supposed to be off limits, and they said they were shoring up the burials, which they compromised by taking so much sand out. And they did this without an archaeological monitor, which is required by their permit. And so we went crazy trying to get someone to do something about it. Our council persons, Ellie Cochran, staff tried to get the county to come. We called all the departments. No one would come to enforce the condition of this permit. We learned 2 days later that SHPD said it was okay because they had screened the sand. Indeed, they had not, because they scooped down along the sides and the edges of this lot, down at least 5 feet. But no one is willing to even do the little bit of assurance we have that if Ivi Kupuna are exposed, that they will be taken care of. No one, none of the departments. I sat outside holding signs yesterday with a zoning inspector who was not allowed to go on the project. She was not allowed on the, so that she could enforce the zoning restriction. So we have come to you for help. We have a very strong case in the 6E laws, which have they have been breaking these laws for over 10 years. And I appreciate the apology from you, Chair, for not coming earlier, 10 years ago, when we asked for help. And I think that this is the time to come forward. The sand of our kupuna is in the rail columns. And I understand those rail columns are cracking. Not only will it not be safe, but our kupuna have been relegated to existing as they have in this area for over 200 years, to be sand mined and sold as a commodity and put in concrete to build a rail that half the city does not want. I think they deserve much better, and I think we can do better. And I thank Mauna Kea for coming, because many of these burials come from Moku'o Keawe. They are the Keawe's. They are the Keawe's that died in the Battle of Kakanilua, where all of the lines of Keawe perished in one day, in one battle, in the sand dunes of Maui. It is your people, mostly, that were left on the sands of Maui and reported so many times in history, in Kamakau, in even Thurston reports seeing the piles of bones and skulls. And these are your people. And I so apologize for not being able to take care of them and letting your people be exposed by a D9 and sand mining trucks, and the lying of the archaeologist about the burials. The stories we have from the people who work on site and the people who are actually tasked with turning their heads when they come upon burials is so different than what we see in reports. And we ask you for help. Just because I believe that you can, and whether you choose to help us or not, we are going to go forward. And we're raising the money to do the only thing we can do to stop them. Unless Mauna Kea comes and helps us so that we know how to stage an effective sit-in and occupy. We would appreciate that help, because it looks like it's getting to that point, and these people made $30 million on selling our kupuna last year. I don't think they lack for money to go against us.
Claire, I wanted to comment on your mana'o. Today, the board is going to be asked to adopt a motion, which in regards to your project on Maui. There's going to be 3 areas of consideration. One is the Department of Planning to determine if sand excavation violates the Maui zoning code. The Maui Department of Public Works to determine if revocation or suspension of Phase 9 grading permit is appropriate. And the third one is the State Historic Preservation Department and the Maui Lanai Island Burial Council to properly investigate the discovery of burials and whether historic preservation laws and conditions have been fully complied with and enforced. So we're prepared. That's being submitted for consideration for decision making on the agenda this morning.
Chair, may I ask if they continue as they have to ignore the laws and to ignore their kuleana to enforce the laws, will there be any recourse from this inquiry?
Once we take a position on this, I think those things can be discussed with administration. At the last meeting on Maui a few weeks back, I requested if you had applied with the Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation for this particular project. So I'll still ask that if you have.
I have. I was told to do this, and I have been waiting for
Okay. So all of those
8
things,
days for a response.
all of that might be lined up appropriately where we can help get that kind of legal support. And I think you're looking to file an injunction to stop everything. So those kinds of consideration will require a review by all parties, including you and your group, as well as the trustees' participation and commitment to fund it. So with this motion, it'll help us move it along. We've never done that before since you've been coming to the table. So we'll be addressing that on the new business today.
Thank you. And I invite all of you, as many as can come, with the Sunshine Law and all of the people who have come today, to come to our vigil, because I think that the best thing that we can do for our kupuna at this time is to come together in the area where they are being currently moved around in the sand and pull it together for them so they know that we haven't forgotten them. And we'll be doing that on this Friday, 6 o'clock in the evening to 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, Claire.
Thank you.
Just thank you and be patient with us as we move to make that decision. Trustee Akana.
Madam Chair, the 3 actions that you're going to ask us to take.
Motion. One motion with three positions.
Right. They're all asking various questions, but I think in the testimony that we heard on Maui, the Burial Council came and they told us that they're not even allowed on the site. They're not allowed to have a meeting. So they've answered those questions when they appeared at our meeting. So to me, what we're asking, we
Trustee
already
Akana,
got the answers.
I would ask you to hold the discussion until we get to that item where we can take the motion and have free and full discussion at that time.
All I
Because
want
that's
is,
where it's going to be important on how we craft the details behind the recommended motion. So if there's an area that you disagree on number 3, then we can delete it or strengthen it with other considerations. But
Okay,
this is just a public testimony input.
okay,
Okay?
fine.
Thank
Fine.
you, Claire.
I just wanted to make a comment, Chair.
Trustee Leahu Isa.
I flew over there to the county council because there was a resolution on a moratorium on the sand mining. The dunes, at first I couldn't figure out where that was. So Auntie Claire took us over there. The dunes at Maui Lani. And I spoke to an attorney. After I talked to you, I spoke to an attorney. He said we have a case because all that sand that was brought here to put in those columns were paid for by public taxpayer money. It is not private money. It's our money that paid for it. And I think those things are cracking because our kupunas, they're screaming to get out of those concrete pillars. Mahalo, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Claire. Our next speaker is Malia Marquez, followed by Andre Perez, since I know he's arrived a few minutes back.
Ako a pau mai kapiina I kalai hae kalabela o le hua ano ai ke aloha.
Ano, mama uno.
O malia ka inoa, mai mauna dua mai. I'm from Hawaii Kai, the other side. I've never done this before. I'm a kumu with the DOE at Kahala Elementary School. I'm adopted from the Queen Kalani Trust of Hawaiian Babies. My mom is pure Caucasian and my father is pure Chinese. Not with us anymore, but I had to learn my culture and my mana'o of who our people are from school. My brother attended Kamehameha schools. He's passed away. It's just me and my mom now. The importance of our keiki and for me to be able to teach them, since I don't have true mana'o from my ohana of where our people come from, is so important. And I mahalo kaukaoha and kapua as our keiki attend halau kumana. I learn as I go on. I keep learning about our people, our culture. I just opened my adoption records and my ohanas ke'awe ma'uhili mai Hawaii mai. If I was terrified to even come here and testify, I just wanted to be a part, but I wouldn't be a true kumu if I didn't stand up for my beliefs and what I teach my children. I teach them to always stand up for what is pono. We have discussed Mauna Kea, we have discussed 1893, we have discussed everything in my class, and I hold my opinions because I need to teach them whatever they feel they need to express. They have asked my opinions. I have given my opinion. I am not against science. I am not against astrology. I don't want to be against University of Hawaii as my daughter attended there. And I certainly have much respect for Mayor Kim. But in my heart, when I read the link of what he was proposing, the only words that came to mind is, can't we just leave her alone? Seeing telescopes there that are not even functioning, talking about TMT, and then kind of sugarcoating it with a park. I just feel that in my heart, there will never be a Waikiki. I will never let that happen. We have a huge hui that have gone up there a numerous amount of times. As we all welcomed Hokulea, and we saw this one little va'a bring together protectors all the way up to our political people in one place, smiling and carrying pono and experiencing 200 years ago the sword, the exhibition, everything we had there was so pono. And Mauna Awakea is a part of that. That is navigation, that is what they look for, that is who we are, and having anything up there is just not necessary. I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to speak. I just need to protect her for my keiki, for my students, for my children, and to carry on our legacy of who we are, Kanaka Maoli. So mahalo nui, aloha.
Andre Perez, followed by Lori Halimano.
Aloha.
Aloha,
Aloha, kako. I'm here. It's the first time I've been back to OHA in actually 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, for real. I've been trying to focus on kukulu, on building and creating opportunities for our lahui. And I've come over that the work that I do and the time that I've been involved in community activism, I realized that cannot only ku'e, we got a kukulu too, and sort of our philosophy for change, our theory for change, ku'e, kukulu, and I realized that we ku'e, not building anything long-term legacy, but sometimes we have to ku'e. A lot of small fires, and as Skippy Iowani says, small fires can cause big damage. And so, but I realized that it's time to build and create, and so I've been focusing on my farm, Aina, on a carving project, on creating an activist training organization, and really putting that time into kukulu. But I'm concerned that it might be time to ku'e again. So regarding Mauna Kea and Mayor Kim's visit, I have the understanding that Mayor Kim is here to make a proposal to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and that the governor, Ige, has empowered him to say that he has the governor's support for this vision of some kind of park on Mauna Kea. And I'm here to testify in opposition to this idea and to implore OHA to not support this. And I think we all can agree that to even entertain the idea of creating some kind of technological science peace park for the world, as it was, I read in a news article, is really stirring up a hornet's nest at this time. And I have to say that we have to start focusing on who has kuleana to Mauna Kea. The great scholar Kamakau talks about one of the most powerful instances, examples of kuleana is ancestral kinship to land. One of the best examples, most powerful examples of who has kuleana, authority, right, privilege, obligation, is the people who have ancestral kinship. Nothing is more powerful than that. And so my question is, what is Mayor Harry Kim's kuleana to Mauna Kea? I think it's time that Hawaiians start determining what's best for Mauna Kea and nobody else. I think it's time that the Lahui asserts control over our sacred mountain and nobody else. If you go to sacred mountains in Korea or you go to sacred mountains in Japan, there are no foreigners trying to develop their sacred mountains because they fight, they protect, they control their aina and those sacred spaces. And I understand that nobody's going to give us control of Mauna Kea, that we're going to have to fight for it. But fighting is nothing new to us, Colette, all of us. We fought for Kaho'olawe. We fought against the great United States Navy. We fought for Honokahua to protect burials. And that was Skippy Iowani, the first one, jumping the fence. Sometimes jumping the fence is important. And out of the struggle of Honokahua, we now have burial law. We have burial councils. And that hotel was moved to not desecrate those burials. We fought for Waukeleopuna, resulting in the largest arrest in modern Hawaiian history, over 140 Hawaiians arrested. And now we have control of Waukeleopuna. So I'm here to tell the board that we will have to fight for Mauna Kea. But to quote a kupuna that I met on Maui, his name was Rennie Silva, talking about Kaho'olawe, he said, "More better we try something because we already know what happens when we try nothing." And so we're going to have to fight for Mauna Kea. And I'm here to say that the mayor's proposal is not in alignment with Hawaiian values and the will of the Lahui and what the people feel is in the best interest. Sorry, I'm going a little bit over time. But I want to implore OHA to question what is his kuleana on our terms, based on our cultural values, to Mauna Kea. Yeah. I also want to address two small important issues. I understand that today the board may be voting on a small grants process, and I want to testify in support that the board pass this additional grants process measure for the smaller Hawaiian orgs. The smaller orgs don't have a chance against the big orgs that capitalize and monopolize on the OHA project funding. And I'll use an example. Years ago, me and Kapono Souza were doing prison work in Mississippi and Arizona, working with Hawaiian prisoners. And we came to OHA for support, and we got no support. And we were in Mississippi, two brothers using EBT card, our EBT, to buy food for the paina for Hawaiian inmates. So you have to create resources or opportunities for the small little projects. Our community has many great little endeavors that never get off the ground because they can't get into the competition. And my last issue in closing is, I'm not sure if OHA is aware, but I want to put this on the radar. Approximately 2 years ago, the United States Navy introduced the coconut rhinoceros beetle to Hawaii.
Oh, that's correct.
And that beetle was introduced to Guam 10 years ago by the military. And in the past 10 years, that coconut rhinoceros beetle has decimated 50% of all the coconut and palm trees on Guam. My farm, Hanakehau, is located in Waiava Ahupua'a, just Makai of LCC. And we've had the invasive species crew come out, and they found one of the worst infestations of the coconut rhinoceros beetle on our farm and in the surrounding area. And I feel that and this is another impact of militarization and militarism, but we're facing an ecological disaster, and I want to make OHA very aware of this. We don't know where this coconut rhinoceros beetle has spread to, but one single beetle can kill a mature coconut tree. And they found 400 larvae and about 50 mature beetles on my farm. And we need to be concerned because after the beetle kills all the coconut trees, it eats kalo. And so in the beginning of the coqui frog infestation, a lot of people agree that the state and the county of Hilo didn't respond with enough effort and concern, and they lost control of the opportunity to control the coqui frog. And now that coqui frog is almost on every island. The difference is the coqui frog only makes noise. The coconut beetle kills palm trees and eats kalo. So I want to implore OHA to look into this issue and see how you can get involved and support this as well.
Thank you, Andre.
Mahalo.
Thank you. Welcome to come back on the community concerns, especially after Mayor Kim does his presentation. Yep. And I wanted to affirm that we are not here to take a position on what the Mayor Kim Harry Kim will be presenting. This is an opportunity for us to hear firsthand from him. And if it takes other kinds of steps, we have not deliberated that as a board.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Andre. Yep. The next speaker is Laurie Halimano, followed by Kaiulani Milham.
Hello, Andre.
Aloha mai oko.
Aloha.
Halemano ko'uinoa. I'm employed by a Native Hawaiian-owned company as a project manager, and one of our kuleana is to remove unexploded ordinances from all of the Hawaiian Islands, with the exception of Kaho'olawe. And so it's my duty to malama kaina. Outside of my 9-to-5 job. I do it voluntarily because I was called to. I believe that it's my kuleana to protect and to preserve what is ours. This land, our culture, for our people. Because if we don't, who will? You know, we allowed the U.S. military to come in and use our aina as targets, you know, bombing, target practicing. And so now, many years later, we're going in and having to clean all of this mess up. The problem is that it can never be restored back to its pristine condition. So it's our kuleana to protect, preserve what's left. And once we allow that TMT to be built on the mountain or a sacred place, or even a park, a Mauna Kea park. Years down the road, we're never going to be able to restore the pristine of that aina there. So I'm asking that you all consider that and think about that. What will be left for the future generations? And what will you tell your mo'opuna, future mo'opuna, and the generations to come? What part did you play in this? What did you do to protect and to preserve what's ours? Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Kaiulani Milham, followed by Rupert Roll.
Aloha, Chair Machado. Aloha, trustees. Aloha,
Aloha.
Dr. Crabb. I would just want to start first by thanking you for the beautiful wreath you guys sent for Mauna Kea's celebration of life service last month. And especially thank you, Trustee Akana, for being there and presenting the resolution on behalf of the board and OHA. Mauna Kea is one person who gave her life, literally, fighting for our lahui and for our aina. My mother was too. She died fighting for our lahui and for our aina. So it's very heavy to know of all the people who have already given their lives over all these years fighting for our aina, and to know that there looms these continued threats and the threat to Mauna Kea from the TMT, despite people giving their lives, is something so horrible. And to know that there's this proposal for being called a peace park, that cannot be peace. It's not peace to, impose something on the people who have fought and given their lives. That is war. It is the worst kind of desecration. It is the height of what it means to be an occupied country. To have something like that imposed on a place that our people consider a sacred place and a place where our ancestors are. So I just, as you consider whatever this proposal is, remember the people that have given their lives already. Please remember that our lahui is not going to stand by and let this happen. It's, Moani was arrested up there. I'm going to be arrested up there next time. I know many people in this room who will be arrested. And, whatever it takes, the lahui is going to do it. So any kind of plans that anyone wants to bring forward that would allow TMT will be defeated. But what will it cost? So I thank you for listening. Mahalo again.
Mahalo, Kaiulani.
Rupert Roll, followed by Walter Reedy.
Aloha.
Morning.
Aloha.
Aloha, Rupert.
My mind is cloudy right now. I feel the pain for Mauna Kea. I was up on Mauna Kea when I was 19 years old, 1960. There was nothing up there. You had an opportunity to look at our future. Our future is very dull. We let the state and the federal government manipulate our thoughts, our inner strength, and what we're all about. I feel for those EVs on Maui. There is no way a land mining company has the right to deprive you from your true source of your past and deny you entry to that EV. OHA, step up. The time has come. I once told you folks in December 2016, sovereignty is at our doorsteps. Now, getting back to Kauai, we look down to Mauna Kea from Kauai. We understand the problems throughout the kingdom of Hawaii. And our warriors on Kauai, we have taken the liberty to challenge the land title, which is the Palapala Silanui and the Alodio title. Those are sovereign titles. Nobody has that title. Don't believe the state of Hawaii, which is the corporate, and it gives you false title. Now, I want to address this to Judge Klein. Very serious question. Our Kanakas out there got 99 years lease on their land. How come they're no more on warrant deed? And on Hawaiian homelands, there's Kuleana lands on top there. We will challenge that from Kauai, since the state doesn't represent us. And we're in court right now. We have 9 cases coming up, all pertaining to the royal patent. Okay? Keomoko has opened the door. We understand where we are on the battlefield. Okay. I want to say that I came here special for Harry. I wanted to know his Kuleana on Mauna Kea. When you live on the bottom in the opala that surrounds our shoreline, we cannot see clearness on the top. They never had rubbish up there. How come we want to put one peace park? First of all, we are not all in peace with ourselves. We are blind. We're not fighting each other. We're just blind because we don't want to look past our nose. We have more things to say bad about each other than solve the problem. How come we not can focus? I was honored to have you guys on Kauai. That's the first time the community was so impressed with OHA. Our island is the island who talk the language. I don't hear the other islands talk the language. Our island is only 28 miles in one circle, 3/4 island. Okay? But our people have kind of focused the real battle on who we're going to fight. We're not going to fight everybody. We fight one person. We fight the state. We want the state to put up and show us your title. The county attorney tell us The Palapala Silanui is just a piece of paper. He's talking about the state. He's not talking about us. We got the title. That's all I gotta say. Time's up. I'll be around. Aloha.
Walter Riddy. After Walter, it concludes the public testimony portion, and it will go into the new business discussion, followed by an executive session. And then I also have 5 people that will be coming back on the community concerns to address the response to Mayor Kim's presentation.
Can I make a quick comment on that real fast?
Yes.
If I'm not allowed to speak again until after the executive session, can I be plugged back into this one?
Yes, you
I
can.
wanted to hear his presentation, but I gotta put in one or two.
Okay, you can. You like go before or after Walter? I can kick him out. You too.
She can. Let Walter speak. Let Walter speak. Okay.
Okay, Walter, I'm
Yes,
sorry I interrupted you, but now we're clarifying people can come speak now too.
Yeah, so I'll come also later to speak after Mr. Kim speaks. But I wanted to take this time to just bring some information to the board. July is Hawaii Independence Month. It's really Independence Day. We celebrated it traditionally, and then we stopped celebrating it, and then now we're beginning to celebrate it more and more. And it went from just celebrating one day to now celebrating the whole month. So I wanted to let the board know that there is this celebration going on. It's called E Ho'olokahi Kalahui. And it's an effort for us to take our focus away from the wrangling that we've been having at the national level with federal recognition, dividing up our community right down the middle. And it's that whole discussion has been getting worse and worse. So these events that we have holding in the month of July is to try and get the Hawaiian community to refocus at the international level and to go to the international level with lessons learned from the national level. That we should not go to the international level and have the same kinds of fights among ourselves at the international level. So the first event in the month of July, of course, July 1st, and that's going to be on Molokai this Saturday. July 8th, we're going to be on Kauai. July 15th, we're going to be in Kona. July 22nd, we're going to be Puna. July 23rd, which is the only Sunday event, it's going to be on Maui at, I think the name, Maui Community College? No, it's not MCC anymore. UH Maui. Okay. And the last event is going to be held on the 29th, and that's going to be at the City and County Auditorium. We were supposed to have it at the park, Thomas Square, but Thomas Square, even though they told us was going to be ready, now it's not going to be ready because the grass is taking its time in growing back, so we cannot use the park. So they allowed us to use the auditorium. So I wanted to invite the trustees to come and participate in any of these events. The main topic is going to be a very substantial event that is now happening. It's called the International Commission of Inquiry. So this is not mana'o being shared at at the international level. These are legal proceedings that are happening. So at all of these events, we'll be explaining those proceedings. It's going to involve the Permanent Court of Arbitration, and it stemmed back to the Larson case, which was not carried through all the way because the United States refused to participate. But one of the options is fact-finding at the Permanent Court of Arbitration. So in the fact-finding efforts, $10,000 have been put down to form this commission. The commission will do a fact-finding process and then turn the results over to the United Nations. United Nations are the ones that fund The Hague and the Peace Palace. So we think this is very substantial, that the truth of who we were tells us the truth of who we are today. And we all understand, ever since the overthrow, certain things have been done in the Hawaiian community that has made us believe today that in order for us to survive, we all got to become smart Americans and beat them at their own game. That's what I was told when I went to Kamehameha schools, and that's what my parents were told. Today we're at a different time in the Hawaiian community, and we're beginning to realize that, factually speaking, we are still, the kingdom still exists. And I think it was Trustee Stender who said, so what? Yes, there was an overthrow. Yes, there was no annexation. But so what? So I think in his so what, it means we cannot do nothing about it. But in our so what, we are going to do something about it. So that's how we're going to answer Mr. Stender and his so what. So it all starts with this International Commission of Inquiry, and we ask that the Hawaiian community get together and support this effort at the international level. Mahalo.
Thank you, Walter.
Mahalo.
Ka ho'okahi kanuha.
Aloha. Mahalo kalamai for the confusion earlier. I was hoping to speak afterwards, but small kind time constraints. Aloha mai kākou. Mahalo kia hui ana o kākou. O wau ka ho'okahi kanuha. No kona. Ka mokupuni o Hawaii nui o ke ave. I'm here today to address a proposal by Harry Kim for a world park on Mauna Kea. One of the things that we tried expressing during the Kukia'i Mauna struggle was this narrative that it's not about science versus culture. Yeah? It was never about science versus culture. It was never an anti-telescope kind of thing. We were against the treatment of the Mauna, the mistreatment of the Mauna. And so this proposal, in my opinion, falls right into that same category. Yeah, okay, and TMT fits into this proposal as well, according to the reports that I've read, or would fit into it. So I want to be clear about that. It's the mismanagement of Mauna Kea that's really the issue, and this would be a continuation of it. For OHA, I don't really have too much of a message to you folks, because the last time we were here, not the last time, but the last times that we were here, you folks were able to rescind the support for TMT, take a neutral stance. Not exactly what we wanted, but it's better than where we were before. So at this point in time, you guys have no position on it, and I would just implore you folks to understand that this is just a continuation of that same proposal. It's a continuation of the TMT issue. There should be the same stance on it, that we're against it, we're not for it. And one of the things that for Mr. Kim to think about is there's no secret, there's no need to wonder how the people are going to react to this. There's no need to wonder, because we've already been given the answer 2 years ago. And in fact, the answer is in our front of our face right now. When you look at Kukia'i Mauna and you look at the amount of days that people stayed on the Mauna, the amount of arrests, the arrests that were made there, and that story is well known. It's been broadcasted all over the place. But then we look at the contested case hearing as well. And I think that's another big sign of Aloha Aina, and a reminder and a clear message that this is not going to happen. We will not allow it to happen. And when we think about the people that are in that contested case, regular people, just like me, not trained in anything, big and special, just regular Kanaka. But they went up against a $1.4 billion project for months and months and months. And they did some damage in the courtroom too. When you look at, the Mehana Kihois and the Kalani Florises and all of those people, Freitas, everybody in there. Would take up all my 5 minutes for list their names. But the things that they've done have to be, it's got to be mahaloed, man. The commitment that they have made, and so, again, my mana'o is to you that I don't think we want this. I don't think we want this. If we want peace, then we go down the other way. we talked, one of the questions earlier about, kuleana to Mauna Kea, and, does Harry Kim have kuleana to Mauna Kea? I think if we understood, and if he understood the concept, the function, the perspective of kuleana, he would know that he has no kuleana to Mauna Kea. He has no kuleana to Mauna Kea because the people who have kuleana to Mauna Kea never gave him that kuleana. And so I think it's important that we remember that. And I also worry about just in reading these reports and and I learned firsthand, first of all, I learned firsthand with Mauna Kea and never believe everything the media says. However, quotes, those come out of our mouth. And when I see some of the language about, a living museum for the cosmopolitan Hawaiian people, for a people that belong to the world, we're going to give Mauna Kea as a symbol of peace for the world. Again, we go back to kuleana. You don't have the kuleana to give Mauna Kea to the world. And we need to remember, you also don't have the kuleana to define Hawaiians. Hawaiians have that kuleana. And we've defined ourselves. Our mo'oku auhau is laid out. Our mo'olelo is clear. So, I'm just here to say that unless we want resistance, unless we want pilikia, unless we want Hawaiians and non-Hawaiians alike getting arrested on Mauna Kea, off of Mauna Kea, if we want issues, then we go ahead and we propose a road park. We go ahead and accept it. We want Hawaiians getting arrested, and we want to continue this separation of Kanaka from Mo'oku Ohau and Kanaka from Mo'olelo and Kanaka from identity, then we go down this path. But if not, then we look 2 years back, we understand what happened, and know very, very, very clearly that it will happen again if it needs to be. And our Kanaka have not gone to sleep. Our Kanaka have not forgotten. We've stayed in it. We're prepared. And so, and again, just to be very, very clear, unless we want arrests, we want to lock up Hawaiians, then we don't go down this path. So, mahalo ya oko, I ask you guys to stay the course. Kukia i Mauna, forever. TMT shutdown, it doesn't end. But malama Mauna Kea, it's not just about the TMT, it's the mismanagement of it. And so any construction that's going up on there, any plan to bring more people up there, aole. Ku'e ikela, mahalo, ahui ho.
Hello. Aloha. My name is Bimo Akiona. I'm from Big Island of Hawaii, 63 years old.
Aloha, Bimo.
Aloha. I've lived there every year except for the years I went to school here at Kamehameha. With respect to Mr. Kim, I've known you for a long time. I want to talk about Mauna Kea as I've learned about it. I'm a retired county employee, 10 years as a police officer, 20 years in fire. I didn't start at Mauna Kea intentionally. We are 3 generations in tourism. I'm the second. And my father's the first. My father's ashes are spread on Mauna Kea due to his wishes. I came upon the Mauna Kea movement because on a day I'm picking up my grandsons going from Hilo to Kona. We decided to go up to Mauna Kea and take care of Papa's ahu. Driving up the road, going up into the mountain, looking down, we see signs, some people, some flags down at the crosswalk. What's that, Papa? Oh, I know, something I read about in a paper about they don't want a telescope. Take care of the ahu coming back down. And I said, we should go see them. And my grandson, 7 and 8 years old, goes, why? And I said, we should thank them, because whether I know what they're doing or not, they're trying to help us out. Anything to take care of the aina is something good, at least a process. So we go down there, I sit down, meet Mehana Kihoi, Lena Alice Lighthome, names which have lasted throughout the years on this movement. And then I realize these are young, good people. And so I say, they're good. We go to Kona, Sunday I go back to Hilo. We decide to run up and help out and give them money for gas. Because these people are sleeping in their cars in ice cold conditions because they believe in something. Probably a whole lot more than Mr. Mayor believes in what you're doing. I do absolutely support all efforts for peace, for culture, but I think this is the exact wrong way to do it. We've had over 50 not just Hawaiians. When we say Hawaiians, we mean everybody who cares about our culture, arrested on that mountain. Of that 50, the only ones ever found guilty were the ones who decided they didn't have the time and money to go through a court process, and they pleaded no contest. 3. All the rest, including Laurie Haleomano, others, are flying from this island back to Hawaii to go to court dates at their expense. Everybody arrested were required to post bail. When I was a police officer, people who lived on the island didn't post bail, but these people were. They put out their money, they did what they had to do, and the cases were dismissed. Peace, Mr. Mayor, would start with you and our county apologizing to those people, even though you weren't responsible for it. If we want to be able to talk to each other, we have to talk to each other. We cannot have one-way discussions. As far as, and Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, I knew you when you were coaching Hilo High School, you coached my brothers. I have a lot of respect for you. You're a passionate, good man, but I think you're going this in the wrong way, and we're headed down a dangerous street. We need to say things where we can all talk to each other. We got to the point where we can. And it's not just about TMT. TMT is the edge of the sword that's being used. It's about how business is being operated on our island. It's about the influence that are happened. It's about, Mr. Mayor, you bringing people who are part of the Mauna movement to your office as part of your meetings and try to learn what we got. And so you can cross your I's and dot your I's, cross your T's. You talk to them. They came to your office. I will say that I know of 3 groups that went, and they all say the same thing. You didn't listen. You told them everything you had to say, but you weren't interested in what they had to say. And I apologize if that doesn't seem that way to you. But the newspaper also reports that you went to an astronomer's home for dinner and had a meeting there about the same issue. I'm afraid this looks more like a lobbyist than a mayor. And that upsets me because I don't think it's good for you, and I respect you. I know your son Garrett. We work together, and I just want to ask you to take a look at what's going on because you're influential. Lastly, what Kahokai was speaking about. I am a past police officer. I was one of those that used to go follow the guys who were protesting at Kukailimoku Village, South Point. I have pictures of Earl De Leon, which he and I still laugh about. Now we're together. It's going to get bad. TMT is just the tip of the spear. TMT will never be built. The only question is what's going to be the price. We've had the arrests, we've had everything that went on, and we know the effect. They're still here. They've got the mayor involved. They've got the governor. And we have you guys not taking a stance. I don't know if I could if I were you, but I sure wish you would. Because the price is going to be high. There won't be arrests anymore. There will be arrests, but that's not going to stop there. What would you do if someone was threatening your family? What would you do if you tried as nice as you could to speak to them and they didn't listen? Because that's what's happened here. Peace has been exhibited, I'm almost done, by the people who got arrested, by the people who have been on the mountain, by the people who are here testifying. We've been peaceful. Help us make peace work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bimo. Okay, members, we now can focus on the business at hand. Kamana'o, do you still have any unfinished business to update the trustees on Roman numeral 4A?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just have one. You already had shared in terms of your consideration for the Maui sand dunes, which administration had met, so you'll present that later. I just wanted to ask Ponui, Lisa Victor, to come forward to talk about OHA's moving forward with the state in terms of IT. The reason why I'm sharing this because in Maui we had problems with live streaming. We currently have problems with live streaming and technological matters. So we're trying to move forward with getting better upgrade and capacity so we can meet the accommodations of the community.
I'll ask that your consideration, although on the agenda we provide you with 15 minutes, I would ask that you try to reduce it by half.
Yes.
Please.
Aloha, trustees.
Aloha.
For the last 7 or 8 months, we've been working with Enterprise Technology Services. There are 3 reasons that we wanted to do that. One is our appetite for bandwidth, has outgrown our capability, and we're trying to manage it as much as we can. Number two was we were concerned about security, and so we've dealt with that, and so it's been good. But the third one was we were unable to leverage costs. And when it comes to technology, you must be able to leverage costs. And so we went to Enterprise Technology Services, and they have agreed to help us, which means by first quarter of next year, we will have an upgraded system, upgraded infrastructure, and it would improve our capabilities by 750%, which is their default standard. And so you really want to thank Enterprise Technology Services for responding to our requests, and we look forward to moving that forward. Without that, it would be difficult for us to add much more devices on this network, but we have a path now. You're welcome.
Thank you for the update. Kamanao, anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, members, we'll now move to Roman numeral 5A to take action on the Joint Committee's referral to the trustees for the fiscal biennium 2018-2019 community grants recommendations. I'll call on Trustee Ahuna to read the motion.
Madam Chair, we're here to approve and authorize the disbursement of $2,557,844 from the fiscal year 2018 core operating budget, object code 56530, and $2,560,005 from the fiscal year 2019 core operating budget, object code 56530, to fund 21 fiscal biennium 2018-2019 community grant recommendations listed on attachment A, OHA FB 2018-2019 community grant recommendations matrix, except for the following grants. Number 1, the Queens Medical Center. Number 2, Kahunua Momono International.
I second.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Motion number 2, I'll call on Trustee Robert Lindsay.
Fiscal year 19 core operating budget object code 56530. Code 5630.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'll turn this item 5B, administration, on the update on the...
Chair.
One more motion.
Please.
Okay, sorry about that. Well, you guys with conflict, let's get that straightened out
Madam
way
Chair.
before we get action.
I'd like to,
Trustee Ahuna.
I'd like to approve and authorize the disbursement of $192,156 from the fiscal year 2018 core operating budget, object code 56530, and $189,995 from the fiscal year 2019 core operating budget, object code 56530, to fund the Queens Medical Center, Maui, fiscal biennium 2018-2019, community grant recommendations listed on attachment A.
Second by Trustee Ohe'e. Okay, this is the HANA project, yeah. We had a presentation while we were on Maui. They come through the Queens Medical Center. His last name is Ruiz, that young man that presented.
Ortiz.
Ortiz? Ortiz, yeah, Ortiz. Okay, roll call vote.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Please recuse.
Yes.
Yes. Any more motions?
No.
Okay, thank you all for your support for the community grants and their approval. We have 23 organizations that will be beginning to receive funding for this next 2 biennial periods. Okay, we are now on Roman numeral 5B. I'd like to turn this over to Kamanao on the sand mining and related historic preservation and burial issues, and call to the table.
Yes, mahalo, Madam Chair. I'd like to call upon our Compliance Manager, Kai Markel, and Public Policy Manager, Jocelyn Doan. As a response to the several weeks ago, the trustees receiving community feedback regarding the Mauna Lani sand dunes matter, administration did convene with respect to what the possibility of OHA's Kuleana and role is, and was reminded by Kai in October 2015, the board had approved the iwi kupuna policy. In that policy, called for care, management, and protection of iwi kupuna. And in real brief, it states that OHA shall protect and promote the reverence and cultural importance of proper care, management, and protection of ancestral native high remains, or iwi kupuna, as the most cherished possession within our lahui. We shall also ensure that efforts, initiatives, and the proper care, management, and protection of iwi kupuna is the most paramount consideration. And we look at, there's 3 subsections with respect to planning, consultation, decision-making, and so forth. So administration met yesterday in a lengthy meeting to come up with a proposed motion for the board to consider with specific actions. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jocelyn and then Kai for additional comments with respect to what this calls for.
Okay, thank you. Coming out, I'd like to hear what they got to say, and then we're going to open it up for questions right after.
Just technical.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question. Do we have a copy? I don't have a copy before me of the proposed resolution.
Chair, it's not a resolution, it's a motion. So it's related to the work that we have been doing both from before the board meeting and now. And so it would, it's a pretty simple motion. It's not a resolution. So we confirmed with Judge Klein, because it's on the agenda, that it's appropriate if the board would so desire to pass that motion.
By 2/3 vote, you could put it on, like I said, in Maui.
Would you guys like to proceed?
Yes.
Please continue.
So
Can we have the motion put up on the board so we know what we're looking at? Okay, great.
So we're just going to provide a little bit of background information about what we've been doing to address the issue, the sand dune issue. So, you know, really quickly, the sand dunes in Central Maui were formed probably 30,000 or so years ago. It once ran from Kahului Harbor to Ma'alaya and then to Makena. And as Auntie Claire shared earlier, immense cultural value and well known for having iwi from battles and other burial purposes. So from the 1970s, so we're talking about a pretty massive area. So just a big picture perspective. From the 1970s, they started building upon the sand dunes for homes, other developments, so the Ka'ahumanu Shopping Center, condos, resort developments, government offices. And they were doing some extraction, but they started changing the way that they did their development more recently in the mid-80s, where rather than building upon the dunes, they sand mined the areas and flattened it, and including, you know, to do the development, roadways, leveling lots, etc. So the first barges of sand started being shipped to Honolulu starting in 1985. According to the Department of Public Works and Environmental Management, about 5.5 million tons of sand have been shipped from Maui between 1985 and 2006. In 2009, the Maui Lanai Island Burial Council chair, the late Uncle Charlie Maxwell, demanded that there should be an accounting of the burials that were impacted by the project. As far as we know, and as Kai will go into a little bit more, none has been provided so far. You know, the burial councils had struggled kind of during that time to meet quorum, and so perhaps were not as effective as they could have been as a result of that. And, you know, and there are other issues related to them getting appropriate legal advice, their ability to meet, or so they're told that they're not allowed to meet. And Kai may go a little bit into that as well. But so that has not yet happened, and that's a problem. So as a result of, you know, intense community work and action and concerns, the media did an investigation. I think we all saw that in the news. And as a result, or in concert with, the mayor made an announcement about his concerns about the sand being depleted. And then we saw his Department of Planning director issue a notice of violation. So prior to our board meeting, compliance had already been communicating with some Maui beneficiaries, I think as Auntie Claire had shared, as well as SHPD, as well as the Burial Council. And he's gonna share a little bit about what our team has gathered so far, what we're doing to move forward with regards to the historic preservation tools that we do have. After our board meeting, our public policy staff looked further into the department's notice of violation and did more of a thorough analysis, which we think will help the department find that the Maui Lani partners are actually violating the zoning code. And I think will be stronger tools in the immediate future because we think there's an actual violation happening. So he's going to share a little bit about that, what we've done so far, and then what we can do moving forward as it relates to the land use and zoning tools, as I'm going to describe it. Wayne?
Thanks, Jess. Okay. Okay. All right. So, you know, as Joss mentioned, in light of the pressing nature of the concerns that were raised at our BOT meeting on Maui, our immediate goal was to see if there's anything that could be done to immediately address the sand mining and the impacts of EV in Central Maui, and particularly in Maui Lani Phase 9, which is where the sand mining was going on. You know, we were, you know, it was, as our beneficiaries mentioned, there was a resolution that was introduced in the Maui County Council's Infrastructure and Environmental Management Committee, but as you know, county legislation can take a long time. So we wanted to see, and particularly look into and verify whether there would be land use issues that could be enforced more in a more timely manner. And so we did look at the zoning code in Maui, and based on our research and consistent with the notice of warning letter that the Department of Planning sent to Maui Lani, it seemed that it was that the sand mining that was going on was a pretty clear violation of the Maui County zoning code. So the zoning code requires that any uses be listed as a permitted use in a district where the uses are occurring. Otherwise, it needs like a variance or conditional use permit or a zone change or something of that nature. The zoning code for the Wailuku Kahului Project District 1, or the Maui Lani District where Phase 9 is located, all its listed uses are more or less consistent with like a residential community. So you have, you know, houses, you have schools, parks, you know, village use, mixed use areas. Nothing close to an industrial sand mine, which is pretty much what was going on. You know, the closest thing in the entire zoning code to what was going on is mining and resource extraction, and that's a use that's only permitted in the agriculture district and only with a special use permit. So again, it seems like, you know, our belief is that the zoning code could provide some immediate relief in terms of, you know, stopping the sand mining that's going on in Phase 9. We did look into the grading permit that was issued to Maui Lani in 2014 for Phase 9 because Maui Lani's attorneys were asserting that the grading permit authorized their sand excavation activities. Almost immediately, when looking at the terms and conditions of the permit, it clearly states that this grading permit is only to show compliance with the Maui County Code with respect to soil erosion control. Basically, it's to make sure that if you're going to move earth, if you're going to grade, you're engaging in best management practices to, you know, minimize runoff and minimize the risk of flooding and so forth. It expressly says that the permittee may be subject to other applicable rules and regulations, such as the zoning code. So by the express terms of the grading permit, it seems like, you know, there's no way that could have authorized Maui Lani to engage in unpermitted use in terms of zoning. You know,
We'll cut to the chase. They're in violation.
right, and so you know, what this you know, and one thing to note, the grading permit did show that when Maui applied, they indicated that there were no known burials in Phase 9. And regardless of whether, you know, they should have known or, you know, regardless of their intent when they made that representation, in 2016, Maui Lani reported that they had at least 3 times to the Maui Lanai Burial Council that they had inadvertently encountered burials. And so, you know, we believe that an argument could be made that the information that was submitted was therefore incorrect with respect to burials, and that in itself can be a basis for revocation or suspension of the grading permit. And so with this information in hand, we sent a letter to the Maui Department of Planning. We also submitted testimony to the Council Committee on Infrastructure and Environmental Management, basically highlighting our beliefs that, one, industrial scale sand mining was clearly an impermissible use in the Maui Lani district under the zoning code. 2, that the grading and grubbing permit could not authorize on its own impermissible land use. And 3, that the grading permit itself may be subject to suspension or revocation. And in our letter to the planning department, we also asked for a confirmation of their position on these issues. So again, whether the industrial scale commercial sand mining that was occurring in Maui Lani is an impermissible use in the Maui Lani district, whether the grading and grubbing permit could authorize this kind of land use, notwithstanding the zoning code, whether the county plans to pursue some kind of injunctive relief against further sand mining, whether and how the department plans to monitor and enforce any land use violations, and finally, whether the grading permit should be revoked based on incorrect information or other bases. And we intend to follow up with the Department of Planning and the Department of Public Works, which issued the grading permit, and we'll continue to track the legislation.
Madam Chair, perhaps, you know, before we heard from him, we were discussing all of these things that they've already written about. So maybe what we should be asking council is, based on what our staff has already done, would it be quicker for us to just issue an injunction and ask until they answer all these questions?
Are we going to issue an injunction?
Huh?
Are we going to issue an injunction?
I don't know. You're the lawyer.
Not a court order.
Yes, Madam Chair. So this motion that we are proposing is that administration can still take very progressive action steps against the county and the land zoning committee. This also will help. Our strategy is to empower the Maui and Lanai Island Burial Council also to activate SHPD in terms of a much more comprehensive, thorough archaeological study. So while that's a long-term suggestion, just to kind of what we're, as you had mentioned, I think the community wants immediate action to be done to preserve the sand dunes. And so we believe that this is stuff that we can actually do now in collaboration with the community, Maui Island and Lanai Burial Council, and actually what the work that Kai does already with SHPD, we can already kind of engage them already. You want to speak to that, Kai?
Actually, we're running out of time because Mayor Kim has to leave at 12:30.
Oh, sure.
So if the motion is acceptable to the trustees or any kind of amendments you would like to make, this is the time to do it. And then we'll proceed to take action.
Madam Chair, may I make the motion?
Please do, Maui trustee Carmen Hulu Lindsay.
Mahalo. I'd like to move to approve the following statement. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs calls upon Maui Lani partners to cease all sand and other resource extraction and grading to allow, number 1, the Maui Department of Planning to determine if sand extraction violates the Maui zoning code. Number 2, the Maui Department of Public Works to determine if revocation or suspension of the Phase 9 grading permit is appropriate. And number 3, the State Historic Preservation Department and the Maui Lanai Islands Burial Council to properly investigate the discovery of burials and whether historic preservation laws and conditions have been fully complied with and enforced.
Second.
May I speak to the motion?
Trustee Aquina.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to oppose this motion because I think we're on the right track to protect our iwi of our kupuna. But I am going to vote Kanalua, and it is only for the following reason. I've just seen the motion, and as a fiduciary trustee here, I've not even been able to discuss this with my staff and research this. We have a long-range game that we want to win in this issue. We don't want to take a short-term action unless we've looked at every option, including suing the Mauna Lani partners, which we can't discuss here as well. And so we're starting a process, and I think that we need a better analysis of where we're going to go and how we're going to win. But with that said, I won't oppose it. I'll just vote Kanalua. Thank you.
I want
Trustee Leahu
to
Isa.
speak in favor of this motion because I went to visit it. We need to do something now. We could discuss it. I have information for you, Trustee Aquina, that it's kind of important. It's almost imperative that we do this today. You're just digging away all of this sand with Evie in it. It's sad. Mahalo, Chair.
Trustee Hulu Lindsay.
I just want to say that thank you to our staff because I am the Maui trustee. I was brought in a little earlier, and I apologize to you, Trustee Kelly. But I was aware of these steps wanting to be taken by our administration, and I did actually pass it on to the council last week in the council meeting on behalf of our staff. So I encourage too that our board vote in favor of this because yes, we have to do something now and we cannot wait any longer. Mahalo.
Trustee Ahuna, then we'll call for the roll.
So to all the trustees today, I encourage all of you to vote to support our people. It's very important. Do not stand on the side. Let's stand with them.
I want to especially express that this is our due diligence. This is not the end of the process. We're beginning the process. If it requires litigation, we will bring that back to the board to discuss the direction we want to take and come forward with a budget to approve that approach to sue the county for violation and also the landowner. So this is our due diligence. It's the first step. After that, we can proceed as we choose. But this is not the end of the game plan.
Right.
That said, any other discussion?
Call for the vote.
Roll call vote.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Kanalua with support for the spirit of this resolution.
Aye.
Yes.
Kanalua with support for the spirit of the motion.
I want to thank the staff. Thank you so much.
I thank you all for your patience and especially Mayor Kim of the Big Island. We will now call upon him to present his conceptual plan for Mauna Kea.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Excuse me. I thank you for the privilege and honor of being here.
Aloha.
I must say, sitting down back there and listening to the various testimonies, I never felt so negative in my 78 years of life, to tell you the truth. I think most of it is because of misunderstanding, and I take full responsibility for that misunderstanding because the words used were mine. I did not come here to make a proposal. Absolutely not. There is no proposal. And with that, I'd like to give a little background of why I am here in the situation I am here. I think Mr. Lindsay knows me the longest of anybody here because he's from my island.
Back to 1970.
You didn't have to sell out the age. I got to tell you a joke before we start because it was on my mind, and that's the way Harry Kim is. I remember we were talking about Hokulea of the Hawaiians, and this was an opening at Imiloa. A joke was made by Senator Inouye. Says, always remember Christopher Columbus got lost. That's why he found the Americas. The Hawaiians never got lost. Joke, but not a joke. But anyway, getting back to this. The first time I made a public statement about Mauna Kea was, I think, in 1981. Records of that are, I think, at the Imiloa, in regards to someplace, because I was told that. And I try to write down here, generally speaking, I think some of you may know, I don't prepare to write. I prepare emotionally what I want to say, and I hope Mr. Lindsay will support me on this. I don't think you can find anyone on Big Island that would say I've misled purposely, played politics purposely, or cited of power of money for power of money. That is just not me. And I ask you to believe that. And I think Mr. Lindsay knows that. Back in 1981, I was in charge of civil defense for the island of Hawaii. The university at that time were contemplating things they wanted to do in Mauna Kea. They asked me as head of civil defense if I would come and testify in regards to things of natural hazards that they should be aware of. And I told them about the standard things of the weather, the blizzards, the suddenness of it, the altitude, acclimation of altitude, and all those things necessary if you're going to do anything up there, whether you're a hunter or a sightseer or of the telescope. After my testimony was finished, I asked if I could say something personal. And as best as my memory can hold me, some of it is written on record, I said this in 1981. I think this statement reflects in full what I feel about Hawaii, the Hawaiians of this land, earth. And I would say before I read this, some of the comments did affect me in a negative as far as being hurt that people would think of what they say. On your comments on what is my kuleana, I have no kuleana except my love of this place. I have no authority in regards to Mauna Kea. It never was presented of any kind of authority to anyone. And in defense of Governor Ige, which needs no defense, he did not authorize me to say anything on his behalf. I don't know how things like that come about. In a proposal of a park, I can imagine why that came, because of my use of the word park. And it was because of that's the only word I could think of at the time. In 1981, this is what it said to the University of Hawaii. The people of science looks upon Mauna Kea as a place ideal for the quest of knowledge because of location, because of altitude, because of purity of air. In your use of this very special place for science, be aware that for many of people of past and of present, it is looked upon as part of their soul. In your use of Mauna Kea, please be of care, of caution, and above all, compassion. That has never changed. This was stated publicly in 1981, but this is what I felt since the day I can remember of life, of what I feel of this very special place and the very special people I am lucky to have been surrounded with. I know I'm probably older than all of you in here. I'm 78 years old. For college and military, this is my home of choice. I can find tropics elsewhere, but I will not find people of the same elsewhere. And how this came about of sitting here before you, which I am very grateful for the opportunity, When I got elected last year, as some of you may know, we have a system there that if you win the primary by over 50%, you don't have to run in the general. And that did happen. And don't ask me how. I was asked by the Kona Rotary shortly after the election because they have a policy not to invite politicians while there is a contested primary or general. And since I won, they asked me if I would come to answer some questions about what I feel. And I did go. I think it was no more than a couple of weeks after the primary election. So sometime in late August of last year. On different questions, they asked me about Mauna Kea. There's no preparation on what I'm going to say of Mauna Kea. I'm not prepared for this except for what I wrote in past. And this is what it said. Because it said, what do you feel? But prior to answering, I said, be aware, I'm speaking as Harry Kim, citizen, nobody else. I'm not mayor yet. And even as mayor, I know we have no authority of any kind, as you use the word kuleana, of Mauna Kea. There's an issue of ceded lands, governed by the state, passed on to Land and Natural Resources, and subleased, as we know, to the University of Hawaii. I know all of that. What is the role of county? Nada. I was asked as a citizen who got elected to speak before the Kona Rotary. What do you feel about this? And one of the questions were, do you have an opinion of Mauna Kea? Of course I do. That's my home. How can I live on that island and not have true feeling of Mauna Kea and what people feel and what I feel? I just read to you what I wrote in 1981. But that's what I read. I felt that decades before that. And this is what I said then. I know the controversy of Mauna Kea. I don't know what is right. I don't know what is wrong. And as I said then, I say here. I'm not here to defend my position. I was there to explain my position. With no kuleana of Mauna Kea. I was asked as a person, what do you feel? And before I read what I said, I was a speaker for 4 Memorial Day events this past month. I have a deepest passion of against mankind's cruelty to man that most people have. And maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't know the vast majority of you. I've always felt, and I've said this from Japan to Korea to Germany to Indonesia, Honduras, and all the various countries I was asked to go to work. I feel that war is mankind's greatest failure. And as long as you think war is the answer to peace, we will always have wars. I'm not a very strong person inside. That's why some of the things said about me, it does hurt. And I will openly say that to you. I'm not a very strong person inside. I don't like violence. I can't stand violence. And I don't mean between countries. I mean even between people. Yes, I believe in serving the country. That's why I went as a medic. And they allowed me to do that, where I wouldn't have to be a gun toter. The position of Mauna Kea, but it is not of Mauna Kea. This is what I feel of life. I feel that I am one of the most fortunate person on God's earth because I was born among people of Hawaii, of Hawaiians. And I've said it all over, not because of here, because this is who I am. And some of you may have heard me say it, whether it be Germany, Japan, Indonesia, that I am so blessed to have been born and raised with Hawaiians, who I consider the most gracious, warmest people on God's earth. I've said that many, many times, not before a board, and God forbid, not because of a controversial issue of Mauna Kea. Vision for Mauna Kea answered publicly for the first time last year, that I believe that Mauna Kea can be a place of a pursuit of knowledge to make us a better people and better stewards of this land. This isn't just about Mauna Kea. This is of stewards all over the world. I believe that Mauna Kea can be an international symbol of nations together for the pursuit of peace. Mauna Kea can be and should be a monument for the world for peace on earth, a home of the cosmopolitan culture, people that belong to the world, a hope for the world. Why is that so important? I just told you what I feel about peace on earth. And for those of you who don't remember the word cosmopolitan, you have missed out on one of the most precious things of Hawaii that I bragged about. I even wrote a paper about it in college, the word cosmopolitan. And when you have time, I want you to go to the Manoa campus and go look at beauty pageants of Kapalapala. I think they stopped it in 1960 or something. And you would have your classification of Miss Japanese, Miss Hawaiian, Miss Portuguese, but you had Miss Cosmopolitan. And for those of us born in this most isolated place on God's earth, we thought the world was like us. How naive of us. That we thought the world's people was like us. Only after I grew up and leave that I found out how lucky I was. And that's why I feel so strongly about what I say now and then and tomorrow. And of everything that guides me of how I work. Cosmopolitan. I was asked to go speak to the Konowaina students, 800 of them. And KL school and other schools, and I make that a point, I bring it in, of the specialness of you. People that belong to the world. I tell people I have one granddaughter, just one. She's Scotch, Irish, English, Korean, Portuguese, Filipino, Hawaiian, and by golly, she goes to Kamehameha School. And I'm proud of that. And that's what I meant by international symbol for us. Because the world needs some place like Hawaii. The acknowledgement of the people of Hawaii and their contributions to the science of astronomy of Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea to be the living museum of the people of the First Nation of Hawaii. Everyone on my island knows I don't say indigenous people anymore. Why? Because I consider that almost like an insult. And I copy the country of Canada, who will not also use that word. And so all of you must know one way or the other, you must have heard me say it, the people of Hawaii, the Hawaiians, the people of the First Nation of Hawaii. I believe that Mauna Kea is an opportunity for Hawaii to be the center of discovery of mankind and the universe. I believe that Mauna Kea can be and should be this. I still believe that. You think I don't know the controversy of 30 meter? I'm a news freak. I keep track national, international, and local as a matter of habit. Part of the job as a mayor is a very difficult one in the sense that with all your other responsibilities in your area of control and authority, you are responsible in part for economic growth. This is not a proposal to this board. This was an answer of a question. I said, you know, I know the controversy of Mauna Kea. But within that, I thought, I don't like the way Hawaii is being developed to be of resorts because of what it takes away from a lifestyle of land, price of land, and everything else relating to resorts. Not to snow you, but I have my master's degree in economics, and we learned that. And I hope Hawaii Island does not make the focus of economy resorts. So when I looked at Mauna Kea, I said, what an opportunity. This is the Mount Friends. Of this kind of economic growth, of international recognition. That every single person that would fly over, come over, or look at this mountain to know what it stands for. And you've got to hear the rest of the words, what I said. A symbol of the cosmopolitan people of Hawaii and the people of the First Nation of Hawaii and what they are, what they stood for. And even that I said, and the wrongs done to them. That's what I meant by living museum. So I chose a bad word of park. But they did not mean an industrial park like that, a nasty call. How dare you make a proposal to OHA tomorrow for an industrial park at Mauna Kea? But I blame myself because of the use of the word park, because I did not have this kind of opportunity to talk to people. And on the management of Mauna Kea, I guarantee you, because of my tact, the people at the university will all tell you of my severe criticism towards them because of the mismanagement of Mauna Kea. The people at the Astronomy Center will tell you, where all the people, the scopes is present, and asked me the same question about my opinion of Mauna Kea. And I told them, you are to blame in part for the controversy of Mauna Kea today because of you trashing the mountain. And we have Mauna Kea in isolation of what I feel about life in the world. You guys should know, because I know some of you in here are very renowned people of knowledge. I'm scared stiff of what's happening in Syria. I'm scared stiff of what's happening in Korea. I'm scared stiff of the growing gap between Russia and the United States and Iran and other countries. I grew up and raised before World War II began. The impact of war in my life is deep. So you dedicate your life of everything you do and say not to create and promote war between people. You know what I am most gracious of today? And I will go home and remember that above anything else. I am sitting there. And people came up here to testify how strongly they were against of what I was proposing. I still have the graciousness of the Hawaiian people of warmth, of compassion, and walk over there and give me a hug. You think you're going to find that elsewhere? You don't even know yourself, I think, how special you are. I know because I'm an outsider. and I compare. This is not a proposal, ladies and gentlemen of this board, trustee. I just asked for the opportunity to explain what I felt about this precious mountain, this precious people, my fears of the world, my hope that the precious people of Hawaii, because of who you are innately, you are the birth of the cosmopolitan people. You think if all these other cultural ethnic groups came to a society as immigrant laborers would be welcome like you welcome my father and mother? No way, Jose. But what did you do because of who you are? You created the cosmopolitan people, people that belong to the world. I know that. I will always know that. Do I think monarchy can be done right? I think so. Because part of it would be to teach the world and people of this land that you were wronged. That's what I meant by living museum. And I think I've gone way too long, and maybe I should write so I don't get emotionally involved. But I don't know how to talk that way. I thank this board for the beautiful opportunity of talking to you. I ask your forgiveness of my words used that were misunderstood. You were wrong. The university did a poor job of management. We all need to get better. I felt Mauna Kea could be an international monument for the Aborigines people of Australia, the indigenous people all over the world, of Taiwan, all of the American Indians. And I thought, what greater monument, what greater place than Hawaii. Thank you for this time.
Mahalo, Mayor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor from Big Island, taking the time to come to visit with us. I thank you for your courage and your boldness, and that's the other side that people respect you for.
That's right.
Mr. Mayor Kim, that you got guts. And I
think it's
thank you
more-
for your honesty and your forthrightness and allowing us to have this time with you. Trustee Leahu.
I think there's more aloha for us than some Hawaiians do for the old people. You know, what he feels, his no, it's just beautiful.
Trustee Robert Lindsay. Big
Thank you, Madam
Island,
Chair.
Hawaii Island Trustee.
Mayor Kim, I want to thank you all and all the folks who have come today to be around our people's table to talk about the different issues that have been discussed this morning and now this afternoon. I will affirm I've known Mayor Kim since 1970. When I was a probation officer with our family court, he was director of our law enforcement administration agency. We go back that long. And I will affirm that our mayor, as our chair has said, he's got a lot of guts. He says what he means what he says, and he says what he means. But I will affirm that he is a man of aloha, love for our land, love for our islands, a kind, decent, and truthful person. So mahalo, Mayor, for being here.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Trustee Akana.
Yes.
Of course.
Of course. Who else? I want to thank you very much for coming. And you are certainly a man of courage. I can't ever imagine any other elected official coming here in your position and in a humbling way, to say what you have said. I thank you so very much, and that's why you get elected all the time. You know, people trust you because you say what you mean. You are who you are, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Trustee Kelia Kina.
Mayor Kim, aloha to you.
Aloha to you, sir.
Thank you for the mentorship you've provided to me. I wanted to say that you're very gracious to acknowledge that the native Hawaiian people have a special kuleana for Mauna Kea. I thank you. Ours is a kuleana that is spiritual, that is cultural and historical. But I want to, in graciousness and in love, slightly disagree with you. When you very humbly say you have no kuleana, I would suggest that your heart has shown that you have the kuleana that comes truly from aloha, and that in addition to being a true keikio kaina yourself, you were put into office by the people of Hawaii, which included Hawaiians. Your overwhelming landslide victory was on an island that has 35% Kanaka Maoli Native Hawaiians who voted for you. And while we don't hear the voices of all Native Hawaiians at any time around any table, you actually represent Native Hawaiians as well. And I thank you for your kuleana for not only our sacred places, but for our people. Aloha to you, sir.
Thank you for that.
Trustee Dana Huna.
I'd also like to say mahalo, Mayor Kim, for taking the time to speak with us today. My question is, I think we're in agreement that UH has failed us in stewardship. How do you suggest that we should be moving forward, knowing that we all agree that UH has failed?
I need to restate that this is, yes, personal opinion. Okay.
That's what you came here to speak about, your personal opinions. I'd like to hear that.
The past week, couple of weeks now, to be a small part of the whole Kalia coming home was a beautiful opportunity to meet different people and talk different things. I know you're Hawaiians of any measurement being Hawaiian. Must have felt an immense degree of pride that you cannot explain. I felt a lot of tears around me. But within that, I had an opportunity to talk to the President of the General Assembly of the United Nations about Mauna Kea. First of all, without any mincing of words, the people of the university was told that we did a very, very poor job of caring for Mauna Kea. That the management of this place was almost nil in many things. I felt that the management of Mauna Kea, if it was, please, just my opinion, okay? If it was to proceed, had to be done under a different management structure. If it was to proceed, I felt, and this is no snow, when I first became mayor, you know what I required my cabinet to do? To read the Constitution of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. It was mandated that they know what your role was, that you are in the Constitution of the state of Hawaii, and know what your role was. Because of everything in short of Hawaiian needed to be passed through you. And I wanted them to know it. And of this, Mauna Kea, ceded lands, I don't think can be or should go forward without a heavy involvement of OHA in partnership with the state. But you're not even in partnership of any kind now except 20% of the zero revenues.
That's right, zero.
I will pursue that question a little more because it is important. So you know the thought that went through my mind. I don't just speak off the hip as it may seem. I think about it. When they asked me how would this be accomplished, I told them that's not for me to decide. What I think is necessary is an organizational structure made up of hand-picked, I don't know the numbers, but it'd be 5, 6, 7, or 10, hand-picked people who would draw the bylaws of this governing body, then handpicked by others for the selection of this number of people who would be the governing body, independent of government, and organizationally answering to the governing body of OHA and the state government. I asked the president of the University of Hawaii recently, how would you feel about discussion on that? And the president said, I know we need to take a look at the whole picture. I am open to any discussion on the reorganization. This is what the president told me, and I know I have his permission to say it because I asked him. Yeah, you give me permission to say that? You've asked. He said, that's fine with him. So you know what made me feel very good about it, sir? A recognition by the president that there was wrong. Recognition that we got to be better. Recognition that, yes, we got to be open to a total reorganization of the governance of this place. Hell's bells, that's 11,000 acres. You represent the people of Hawaii by law. That's my answer to you, sir. It should be a heavy part of the governing body.
Thank you very much, Mayor Kim. I also have, you talked about your role in reacting to the Constitution. In the Constitution, it talks about a traditional and customary right. Our people for decades have been getting arrested, and they have this traditional and customary right. How does this help when you say world peace by bringing the whole world when for decades our people didn't even have the right to even be up there on the mountain? And I like what you're saying. Are you considering taking TMT off the table too?
You're not going to like this answer, but I'll answer you. It's always got to be of truth. I feel that this world, we better wake up. I think the world is a threat. I think we all know in this room that through our ignorance of things, we have developed enough nuclear capability to destroy life as you and I know it. Yes, people will survive a nuclear war, but the earth will not in regards to the way it is today. We will not. We learned that in just the testing of some of the South Pacific Islands where the federal government promised people there that you'll be back. And here it is in 2017 and the land is still contaminated. And that's the word the world will be. I pushed that, sir, because of the knowledge and fear and concern of all of that. And I really thought, and this is the answer to that, when I was a kid, of World War II, of thousands and thousands and millions of people, especially citizens dying, there was one country in the world that said, we will not be part of your war. You may come and visit, but leave your wars behind. And by golly, the world recognized that country, and that was Switzerland. And because of that memory of past, I thought, boy, the world needs a template. It needs a template of hope. That's why I put that word in there. There's not going to be a magic, because if the United Nations say we'll identify that as a place of hope, a beacon of hope, but what else have we got if we don't have a template of a place in a world of people? And this is why I told you I said it all over the world. I don't know a more gracious, givingest, kindest people than the people of Hawaii, of Hawaii. that gave birth to the cosmopolitan people. You think I don't know some of the pains that you're talking about? You could talk to my friends about me and my friends about growing up, being treated the way they were treated. Don't ever misjudge what I say by what I'm proposing. So you disagree with what I propose. Hey, I expect that, but I'm answering a question of what I feel. I wish there were other things I felt of, avenues of hope for the world. But by golly, don't you think we gotta find something? Because these crazy leaders of our world, of elsewhere, they talk about threats like, you do that and you're gonna regret it because you're gonna be retaliated against. Or you do this. These are our leaders of the world. And I thought, my God, are we gonna have some idiots someday push that button with the H-bomb? Give us a place of hope. I think the people of Hawaii and the mountain of Mauna Kea could be that. Did I push it? No, I just answered the question.
For OHA trustee to ask that question, I don't think it's fair because OHA itself didn't take a stand. We're still in a neutral position, and we should support.
I'm not asking for a stand, okay? I just answered the question. I will close. I know I've gone way over my time element. I thank your audience there that have been here since 10 o'clock in the morning. If you believe one thing I said today, believe this. I know a small portion of your hate, yes, hate, of what is happening and what you don't want to happen. I've joked for a long time, but not a joke. I don't want Hawaii Island to be a Waikiki. And I'll read this last thing that's our guiding light for my cabinet. The protection and preservation of the historical and cultural specialists of this land, the most precious and beautiful place on earth. That's our theme for the next 3.5 years of the county government of Hawaii. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Done already.
Mahalo.
Trustees, what I would like to do is take out of order, let's move the community concerns because we have 6 people that would like to address the issues. So I'm going to move now to call as the first speaker in the community concerns as Kau Ka'oho Wahilani, followed by Kapua Kili'ikoa Kamai. Rather than take the executive session, I'm just making that statement. We're going to take community concerns out of order so that you don't have to wait until we reconvene. Ka'ohu, thank you for being patient.
Mahalo nui everybody. Kaukohu Kalani Wahilani, Nukuya Maya, White Knight Valley, Homesteader. Mahalo, Mayor Kim. I was born and raised in Nanakuli, First Road Homestead, 1966. 1968, we moved to Hilo, lived in Lanakila housing for 5 years because my mother was in the very first Hawaiian language class was taught with Larry Kimurede up at UH Hilo, and Mary Kavena Pukuya was the kumu. So I was raised over there, Lanakila housing. Who circle, stay back over here. Loha Aina. As to Mayor Kim, when we lived, and I also lived on Moko Kelby from 98 to 04. And he was our mayor then. Good man, Mr. Kim. Plenty aloha for you. But my aloha come for our Aina first, for our people. Talk about template, Mr. Kim. We had a template, Nana Ike Kumu. That was our first kupuna that was here. You know, and you talk about cosmopolitan. Prior to January 17, 1893, we was already one multi-ethnicity kingdom. Why? Because our Nakupuna shared aloha, lived aloha, talked aloha, walked aloha. Banalike, Michelle was inclusive. Our Nakupuna was always inclusive. It was never exclusive. You cannot make in my opinion, you cannot make a monument of peace without resolving a conflict first. The conflict is, Mauna Kea is a big part of who we are as Kanaka. The first light hit Mauna Kea. Tallest mountain on the planet from sea level. Tallest mountain in Polynesia. But, however, Keakua, or Nakua, gave our Nakupuna, the Ike Mekanawa, to take the greatest leap of faith, to jump onto their va'a, wherever they came from, and to come here. The most isolated islands, like you said, American, in the biggest ocean, in the middle of the planet. To trial and error, and thrive. Thrive. Now we stay here again. 2 years ago, we came over here from Mauna Kea. I took off. I had to work this morning, but I made sure I had to come over here for stand for Mauna Kea. You know, we get plenty love, but my poina naka naka mauli. My poina naka poe kahiko. My poina ku'umoi wahini lili o kalani. My poina natupuna. A conflict. You cannot have peace without resolving a conflict, everybody. The conflict, the big conflict here, to me, my opinion, everybody over here, I love each and every one of you folks, but we're all working on the false pretense. Why? We're standing on truth. 1981, American. None of us knew the truth. That there was no treaty of annexation. That no country can occupy another country without a treaty of annexation, not a joint resolution. Mahalo to our kupuna or to our alakais that went up and found the Palapala. I bet you the U.S. right now, they're thinking, damn, we should have freaking burned that up. But that's the truth. And that's what we're learning. And now, all our Nakiki that stay in Halaukumana, Kamaka, all the charter schools, they're learning that truth. That's what we get. But we come from generational hurt. Deep hurt we come from. That's the conflict. The conflict is what? We're going to be on good Christian or something, but what would Christ do? He'll say if we do what is righteous or do what is pono. But how can we do what is pono when we still resolve the conflict? If we all stand together, be fearless, like our kupuna did when they first went into the ba'a, and they had the greatest leap of faith, and they traversed, and they came here. Because our kupuna went stand, it was because there was no treaty of annexation. So how can everybody over here is on the false pretense? International law and U.S. constitutional law. No country. You should know that. Trustee Akini, you're a lawyer, right? Judge, where's Judge Klein? So why are we still acting like we're second citizens? Well, this is our people. We stand fearless. When I went court a couple years ago, the judge didn't tell me because I would stand not as an American Ohana. I would stand as a citizen of the Hawaiian Kingdom, as a Hawaiian national. And I had the judge, was Judge Marr and Judge Ashford. They told me, 2 separate occasions, Mr. Wahilani, if this court finds you guilty, we're going to have to deport you. If they told me that like 7 years ago, I wouldn't have even gotten myself in that situation. But 7 years ago, I was sucking nene. Now eating a huki. And now I'm stand. And the judge told me that, and I told the judge, oh yeah, where are you going to deport me? My mokuaha predates, which is my genealogy, predates the first contact of Western man in 1778 when Captain Crook went land on the islands. That's what I told the judge. And he looked at me, and he never expected coming out of this Kanaka from Waianae. It's not getting educated. It's getting informed in the truth. We need to be fearless. You know, we get 40,000 kupunas standing next to us everywhere. That's why when I go now, I stand fearless. But I do everything in pono. Because you cannot go forward if you're in heaven. So in order for even talk about peace, you got to resolve the conflict. There is conflict. Why? You see this face? Generational hurt. It's on the truth. We was lied to. That's why my kids, they don't often say for pledge allegiance to the flag. Mahalo kia kua.
Ka'oho, can you summarize?
Let us summarize that.
Thank you.
That you folks, the trustees, OHA, stand fearless and stay on you guys' term. Mai pu'ina, kuleana. Mahalo.
Kapua, Kili'ikoa Kamai, followed by Candace Fujikani.
Aloha. Oau kapua Kili'ikoa Kamai again. Thank you, Mayor Kim, for staying and for all your years of service, and definitely for his aloha. I've never doubted it. But very, kaumaha, very concerned when I hear that the mayor is coming to speak towards EMT on Mauna Kea. Spoke to several different points. I hope I can remember to address some of them. As I mentioned earlier, Yaku put us, Kanaka Maoli, here for a reason. Because he knows that we carry the kuleana of our kupuna, or our mo'opuna, and the many, many generations to come. So today, our TNT is the gem of the world. And the world, or at least France, Canada, and America, and UH, is asking the Kanaka, oh, it's okay. But it is not okay. Because as we know with technology, in time, the TMT will be like the devices that we carry today. Old and ancient. Just like the Keck observatories up there. At their time, they were the technology of tomorrow. That's what we're always being sold. Or the future. Or somebody else. But what about for us? For us, the Narkeki. Enough is enough. And not only is TMT Heva, all of that development up there is Heva. Like the good mayor stated, management was poor. Therefore, change the managers. This board, this office was created for a purpose. It is to stand for your Kanaka. Not for the benefit of the fake state. For all the other people that come, for all of that development in Kaka'ako, which is not for us. All of those luxury million-dollar homes, not for us, but for others to come. Eva Loa. Every time we need to fill a vacancy, why is it that the fake state always has to go look somewhere else when our very own people can excel at managing our own assets, our own resources? And I'm not just speaking to the Kanaka Maoli, because when you are like Mayor Kim and others that come to our Kopai Aina Hawaii, and you see, you come to know the people, you know that this is a special place. We are special people because we carry the kuleana. The Aina is our chief. We serve the Aina. By allowing this continued desecration, corporation is being served. That we have to stop. Mahalo nui loa.
Thank you, Kapua. Candice Fujikani, followed by Laulani Teal, if she's still here. And it'll be Walter Reedy after Candice Fujikani.
Aloha mai kako.
Aloha, Candace.
Aloha, Mayor Kim. Thank you for staying and to listen to us. My name is Candice Fujikane. I've been teaching at UH for 22 years, and I teach the Mo'olelo of Hawaii. I teach my students about land struggles, about Aloha Aina struggles. I'm also a board member of KAHEA, the Hawaiian Environmental Alliance, one of the petitioners in the contested case hearing against the TMT. But I'm here for myself, and I'm a member of the Hui, organized by Clarence Kukawakahiching, called Huaka'i'ina Aina Mauna. And we walk the mountain lands in the practice of Ka'apuni Maka'ikai to learn about the Mo'olelo, but also to monitor the sacred sites. And we have seen a lot of devastation on the Mauna, especially to the sacred springs on the other side. But we've walked across the northern plateau where the TMT is proposed to be built. And I know I don't want to go into the 8 conservation district criteria that the TMT cannot possibly fulfill. It is not consistent with the purpose of a conservation district. It has been, the TMT's final environmental impact statement already acknowledges that it will have an impact that is substantial, adverse, and significant. All of that has been covered, yeah? And it's, but I wanted to talk about how coming here today, I'm filled with kaumaha. It is hard to come in front of decision makers again and again and again to explain why the TMT cannot be built, why it would be a desecration. Mauna Kea, the Northern Plateau, is an incredibly beautiful place. And it's very quiet. Cannot sustain industrial activities there. And it is so much heaviness, very heavy heart that I come here today, even though it's a privilege to stand for Mauna Wakea. And I feel this kaumaha, having been there, having sat through 4 years of meetings of the Board of Land and Natural Resources, at the contested case hearing at the Supreme Court. And I want to say that this kaumaha also I feel, I'm sorry Mayor Kim, I feel it when you look at Mauna Wakea and you see an economic opportunity. That makes us feel this grief, that you look at it and see dollar signs. Now, Mayor Kim, I don't have mo'oku auhau either. I'm not Hawaiian. I'm Japanese. I look at you and I see my uncles and my father. I see my grandfather. I see the men in my family. I know you have a good heart. But I also see Ronald Fujiyoshi, who got arrested with the kia'i on April 2nd. He was one of the 31 who was arrested. And he also does not have mo'oku auhau. We don't have genealogy. But we have a choice. So the academic term we use for who we are, we don't have mo'oku auhau, we're settlers. But as settlers, we can choose to be allies, or we can choose to be colonial settlers who perpetuate the colonial processes. To think about Mauna Wakea as a museum puts the injustices in the past. Colonialism and occupation is not relegated to the past, it's ongoing today. It continues today. You said certain things like you said the people of Hawaii, the Kanaka Maoli, were wronged. They continue to be wronged. And the TMT would perpetuate that. So I'm just putting it out there for you. We have a choice. We can be allies. Yeah. I want to also remind everybody that a little over 2 years ago, on June 24th, about the arrests that happened on the Mauna, and I was there. And yes, I remember you were there. I remember you were there, and Danahuna was there. I remember you were there. And people were wailing at the arrests. 12 arrests, people wailing, away. Not just Hawaiians, but non-Hawaiians who were there too. There are many, many of us who know how sacred Mauna Wakea is. And that grief, okay, so what is that? 31 arrests that day. 12 arrests that day. 31 arrests April 2nd. 8 arrests on September 9th. All of those arrests testify to the lengths people will go to protect the Mauna. Soli Niheu told me before he passed, he said, just send out the kahea and all the people will come and we will lay our bodies and our kalaka on the road so that the tractors and the bulldozers cannot go up there. I'm not Hawaiian, but I'm willing to get arrested. And there are a lot of other non-Hawaiians who feel that way too. I want to also say that one of the leaders, Ohule Vaia'u, she was the alaka'i of the 11th line. She's the one who led the people in chanting Ohanau Kamauna. And they stopped the procession. It stopped at line 11. And she had this really beautiful thing that she said. Now, all the people, in row upon row upon row up on the mountain, right? She said, when they heard the leaders, Kaho'okahi and Andre and Kalekoa, Jo'alapa'i, all of these people, today Lori Halimano is here too, all the people getting arrested, they were afraid. They were afraid. They were really scared. But she said to the people, no worry, no worry. And this I have it right here. She says, we're like the teeth of the mano. When one shark's tooth fall out, there's always another to replace it. Not like, watch out, we won't bite you. No, what we realize is that there are always many, many rows behind that front line. Many, many leaders who are coming into their own and are willing to step up to lead us. And that's why this fight is not going to stop. It cannot possibly lay a foundation for peace.
Candice, I'll have to ask you to
I'm sorry. I don't, okay, I didn't even see this thing over here. Okay,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to say, I hope that this proposal for a cultural park is withdrawn because there's no way that the TMT can possibly ever lead to peace. Thank you.
Walter Reedy, thank you for your patience. You're on the same flight with me today. Are you going on Hawaiian? Walter Reedy. Okay, hurry up. Mr. Mayor Kim, Walter Reedy going to escort you to wherever you're going. He like share his mana'o with you. Okay, our next speaker is Clara Pana. Okay, where's Clara Pana? I'll call you up. You be the last speaker, Walter. Okay, come now then. Oh, you guys, I need whistle. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, I was hoping that I could speak to Harry. Harry's a good guy, but time and place is all screwed up. And he thinks he's just speaking as a person, but he's the mayor. So all of us in this room, we're here not because he's a person, but because he's the mayor.
Exactly.
he cannot just say things and not realize who he is and the impact he's having on everybody. And what I wanted to tell him was that I don't think he said that, oh, he understands the controversy. And I don't think too many of us really understand the controversy. When you say it in that light, you really don't understand what is going on. This is not just a controversy. This is something that comes along every 50 years or so. And the last time I saw anything like this was Kaho'olawe, where there's something about the issue that codifies the Hawaiian community. And this issue is not going to just disappear. This is a do or die issue. This is an issue that you cannot compromise on. There is no compromise on this issue of the TMT. So I wanted to try and explain to him what people have done and how this issue has impacted all of the different islands. I've been able to travel to all of the different islands about this issue and been involved on Oahu about this issue, seeing young kids going on the street, stopping cars on King Street, signs in all of the rural areas. This is not just any old controversy. So for him to say what he said, maybe in 1981 it would make a lot of sense. In 1980, a lot of things made sense in 81. We were all howlies back then. But now we're beginning to realize who we really are. So his statements, even though they're well-meaning, confusing, number one, he's not quite clear what he's really saying. And it's being done at a time where the issue of Mauna Kea needs to be left to the people. This is not a governmental issue. This is a people issue that came from the people. They're the ones who's putting all the energy. They're the ones who are getting arrested. They're the ones laying down their lives. It's a people movement. So for him, a politician, to be saying these things about what the future should look like on Mauna Kea, maybe he can say this peace thing should be at Mauna Lani or something, where, it's already screwed up, and then you got to go fix it. But this place he's talking about, it is Piko, the peace Piko of the world, the way it is. And we used to have politicians that had foresight, like Roosevelt, FDR. He said there are certain places in the United States that you see but don't touch, that you just protect and leave it alone, and they form the national parks. There's no difference with what this is all about on Mauna Kea. This is a place, all those buildings, sooner or later, is going to have to come off. It's going to have to come off. The mana of that place, and it's our generation, when we were young, when nobody was paying attention, it's our fault. It's our generation that allowed those kinds of things to happen. It's our generation that allowed the fishes to be disappearing in the ocean because we thought that they would never disappear. So we made those kinds of mistakes. Now this generation, when it comes to this issue, like they see what happened on the coastline, right? Waikiki, the Gold Coast of the Big Island. That coastline is going to be like Waikiki, where hardly any Hawaiians go over there. No more fish anyway, so why go over there? So you push the Hawaiians away from the ocean and the living. Then you get all these genetically modified international companies come to Hawaii because of our weather. And they start poisoning our uka lands. So we lose the kai lands, we lose the uka lands. Now we're at the top of the mountain. Where are we going to go next? It's the cliff. We're pushed up against the cliff. So that's when he's talking about, what he's talking about is us as Hawaiians, draw a line in the sand. We cannot go anyplace else. We will not lose this battle. And you will not tell us what the future of this island and this mountain is all about. It's up to the people to decide. So those are the things that I wanted to talk to him about. And I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do it. But I wanted to talk maybe to you guys that this issue should be a line in the sand. Cannot allow us to be pushed off the top of the mountain. And that's where we are. We're at the cliff. So this generation and what I'm hearing from this generation not only are they going to refuse to be pushed off the cliff, but they're going to start going back down the hill. And Pohakaloa is in their sights. So that's what I like about this generation, is that they're going to huli this thing and start going back down the hill.
Thank you, Walter. Is Clara Pana here? Can somebody look for her outside?
Coming.
Thank you very much for taking action on this, on the Maui sand hills, sand mining, protection of our EV. This is not agendized, and what I want to say is that the great travesty of erasure of our people from the central Maui sand dunes is occurring at the hands of development so that they can continue to develop. And while your motion is excellent for the TMK that ends in 153, it does not cover the history and the land that is still in jeopardy. And especially for the people who believe in keeping our history and keeping the stories. There are so many excellent stories of bravery, of Kekuhapio fighting off the entire Maui army for hours, so that the other people in his army could rest. There's a story of Kivalao, excuse me for the way I pronounce that, coming across the sand and bringing peace with his uncle, Kahikili. And the battle ends because he was brave enough to walk across that sand and risk his life to go and make peace with his uncle. And all of these things are being discredited by development so that they can continue to grade, sand mine, and build houses where the warriors may have last lain, so that there is no history that is significant there. I would ask, we were waiting in great anticipation for Kai Markel's report. We have not been able to substantiate what we need to bring forth this battle, and we were looking forward to his information because we have not been able to get the information from State Historic Preservation Department. I wonder if it is possible that to hear what he was going to give you.
Not at this meeting.
Can
as
we
soon as you're
inter-
done speaking, and Jermaine, we need to finish the rest of our business, which is to go into executive session.
Can I just interview him?
I think Jomanal is ready to allow that.
Yes,
so you could go and visit
that's
him.
fine.
I can visit him and.
But what I was going to say, Claire, actually, as a result of the motion that the board just passed, a lot of the research information that Kai has accumulated over years will be actually implementing that as a result of the board action to address the county of Maui, SHIPD, and the land division.
And so that will be made available to the beneficiaries?
I think you can discuss it with him, but I think that, I don't know exactly what report you're talking about because there's several, but we can talk about that later.
Well, whatever he was going to update everybody with today. We would just like to know what it is. Can I go and interview him?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. And
what I can basically tell you is his division actually reviews a lot of the reports and incidences within the state of Hawaii. And so they have accumulated over the years of different types of incidences with respect to the sand dunes. So what we will do is take a look at that overall to present a case.
Absolutely, thank
Yeah.
you. We just don't have privy to
Right.
that knowledge.
Right.
So Claire, I would, if you have time, rather than rushing off to the airport, please arrange to go and ask him if he's available to talk to you. and
Thank
go
you.
talk to
I
someone
will
and
do that.
resolve.
And so my what I'm bringing up is the being able to identify the sand dunes, all the sand hills that go from Kapuna, which is down by Waihe'e, all the way across to Ma'alaya, the only inland sand dunes of its kind in the whole world, and to set that aside and be recognized by this board as a vahipana for the numerous burials, the battle histories that have gone into this place, especially the Battle of Kakanilua, which was one of the most important and known battles of the history of Hawaii. So,
So Claire, we acknowledge that part of your testimony on Maui, you did acknowledge, you listed this in your testimony about attempting to get a determination on our vahipana for these areas. So it's very different from what you're asking now. So perhaps when you speak to Ka, you're looking at a more cultural definition of these areas. So that might engage us to, if
Right.
that's the next step,
Right.
we would probably have to contract somebody to survey those areas, validate some of the historical events, and come forward as to why it can be classified and honored as a vahipana, from Kapuna all the way to Ma'alaya. So that's other kind of stuff that I think would be helpful for Kai to have a range of his scope.
I'll just say, Claire, I support what Chair has just shared. So actually, based on what Kai has shared, we understand, have very similar understandings of the historical account. Moving forward, it would have to be where it cannot just be the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. It would be the Maui and Lanai Burial Council, in addition to working with Chipti to recognize the vahipana of that area. But before we get to that point, we have to do some real fundamental groundwork in terms of laying a full, comprehensive, thorough case with regarding the archaeological significance of that whole entire area. And we can talk to you on the side about that. But
I think we have done the research on that, and so we could help you if you wanted.
Right.
And I thank you, and I just ask that we be apprised of anything that occurs with your motion. Thank you.
Right.
I'd like to
Thank you very
call
much.
the next speaker and our last speaker is Jermaine Myers for community concerns.
Again, my name is Jermaine Myers for the record. I'm a OHA beneficiary for beneficiary advocacy and empowerment and a Nanakuli Hawaiian Homestead lessee. Aloha. I put down for community concerns because I did want to hear the conceptual plan of Mayor Kim before I give feedback about it. And so we did hear, we did listen. I'm so grateful that our community comes out and we confront the issues. Even though it's difficult to confront them, we must confront them because we can see what happens when we didn't confront them in the past. What I do want to acknowledge first and foremost is that I appreciated Trustee Danahuna confronting it with the mayor. I think he asked a question that many of us had on our mind. We wanted to know if the conceptual plan included TMT. And what I appreciated is that by confronting it and by asking Mayor did not give us really a clear answer. I pride myself on being a very good listener. I was born without puncture in my eardrums, so of course I'm wearing hearing aids. But God has not given me a perfect hearing, but what he has given me is perfect listening. And so I did listen, and I didn't hear yes or no, because a question such as what Trustee Dana Huna had presented and confronted Mayor Kim with was a very clear question. Is TMT on the table or not? And it could give us a very clear answer, yes or no. Instead, I didn't hear a yes or no, so I have to make assumptions. So what I'm now bared with is to come and ask my OHA trustees if we can now look at what the testimonies that have been provided by all of us and look at what the majority has been saying and has been saying for a long time, and I think that's what Trustee Ahuna has been trying to say, is that we don't want TMT on there. We do want our mountain to look like Mount Fuji. And it's interesting is that the Japanese people, their leaders have see that they don't want antennas poking out of the snow. They don't want buildings poking out of the snow, 30 feet buildings or 30, I don't know how many feet is that telescope going to be on there. Yeah. They don't see that vision, those leaders, the Japanese leaders who are in charge of Japan. Unfortunately, Hawaiian leaders are not in charge of Hawaii. Instead, we have this organization that we are told that this organization represents us. So that's why we have to come here and confront you, our elected officials, and ask you to represent the strongest voice. And our strongest voice is hearing that we don't want our EV in Maui to be desecrated and used on a rail, as well as we don't want TMT on the mountain. We don't want antennas there anymore. And we just want it to look natural and pristine the way God had created it. And we don't want people tracking in their diseases and tracking them out and going out and then blaming us. So that is what I wanted to say about Mauna Kea, because I did not see a presentation. But what I would like to ask our trustees is that if Mayor Kim can be on the agenda, can us, the beneficiaries, be on the agenda? And we give our proposal, our concept of what it means for us and how we want Mauna Kea to look without TMT. And what we would like to declare how we want our future to look, so that this generation will be the voice for the next generation and 3 generations to come, like the Bible says. But you must confront the issues. Another issue that was confronted was an audit. And I want to say that last night I went on the computer, as I've done every night, and then I seen that it was posted, the audit services. And so I want to mahalo chair, and I want to mahalo administration for posting the audit services procurement contract. And it was 11 pages, and I didn't have a chance to read it all after I downloaded it because I had a little puppy. Well, I call him puppy, even though he's 4 years old. He keeps, after I'm out all day, he seems to want all the attention. But I was reading here and there between dodging his licking in my face, and I saw that it had pono things, it had things about giving feedback to our resource management chairperson. And so I appreciated all of that. I appreciated that all the voices that have come out have been heard. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Jermaine.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Jermaine. Okay, community from near and far, we thank you for your presence at our meeting. We ask that you allow us now to recuse ourselves into executive session under HRS 92-5A and 4 to discuss a very important contested case relating to groundwater use by Kukui Molokai, which has been ongoing for over 10 years. So I ask you to be patient with us, and we thank you for your time and making your mana'o known. And all of your mana'o, as you know, is very serious to us. And it's not something that we fluff or bounce off of. We take it to heart, and we do care. And I want to acknowledge Trustee Dana Huna for his role in the Mauna Kea Ad Hoc Committee, and him for being so bold to move forward with a op-ed piece that appeared on Wednesday in the advertiser. We had tried to schedule it for a Sunday, but that space was already taken. There will be additional movement that we may be able to announce after all of this today. So we thank you for your time, and I call on Trustee Alhuna for the motion to recuse ourselves. Okay, it's been moved.
So moved and seconded by Trustee Hulu Lindsay.
Okay.
And I too want to thank everyone for coming and showing up and discussing these matters. I think what I do want to say is we work for our people, and we didn't want to get mixed up in who's presenting on the table. So it was important for us to make sure that our people was updated before this all happened. So thank you very much for coming and taking the time to be here and sincere about what's going on in our issues with Hawaiian issues. So thank you so much, everyone.
A roll call vote for the executive session.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.